Chapter 36. Squeak, squeak, the little white beast in the sack let out a soft cry, and the surrounding stone rats actually stopped attacking. Luli stood where he was with his saber in hand. His eyes flickered as he held the sack in one hand. He frowned and began to think. The little critter's speed was so fast, and after it called out, the stone rat actually stopped attacking. This meant that the little beast was definitely not a low-level profound beast. Only a high-level Shin beast could suppress a low-level Shin beast. If he brought it along and it suddenly attacked, he might be bitten to death. However, from the beginning to the end, the little white beast did not reveal the ferocious aura of a powerful Shin beast, nor did it show any hostility towards him. Instead, it looked at his beast tooth pendant with such an expression. From the looks of it, it clearly had a high level of intelligence. It entered the sack to follow him. Luli, we got the elixir. Let's go. Luyu shouted from the distance. Luli made up his mind and ran back, following Luyu and the others out of the cave. As soon as they got out of the cave, a powerful warrior of the Lu family was still worried. He raised his giant axe and continuously hacked at the cave, causing the mud and stones above to fall and block the small passage. Go! Luyu led everyone back. While running, he said to Luli, Luli, this mystical grass is very precious. If I am not mistaken, it should be the 7-leaved heaven cloud grass, a 5th-rank elixir. It is priceless. If it's true, we'll have made a great contribution this time. Each of us will get at least 1,000 contribution points. The other two were excited, but Luli didn't have much of an idea about contribution points. He was still thinking about the little critter in the gunny sack. He was wondering if he should bring this little white critter along. He casually replied to Luyu and deliberately slowed down. When they turned a corner, he quickly opened the sack and took a look when the three of them weren't paying attention. He was dumbfounded that white little beast was actually sleeping soundly in his sack, just like a lazy kitten. It had just run away with a stranger, and it could immediately fall asleep. Luli was worried that this was the white beast in disguise, so he shook the jute bag. The white beast opened its eyes in a daze and looked at Luli. Instinctively, it was scared. Its hair and beard stretched out, and its mane stood up. It looked like a lion cub. However, when it saw the animal tooth pendant on Luli's neck, its eyes turned into crescent moons. It wagged its tail and begged Luli, Damn, what kind of Shin beast is this? Why does it look like a house dog? Luli was speechless. Looking at the flattering eyes, he made up his mind, closed the jute bag, and walked forward. He caught up with Luyu and the others and went back to where Luyu was. Luyu explained the situation and handed the 7 leaves spiritual grass to Elder Hong. The latter looked at it for a while and said with certainty, This is indeed the 7 leaves sky cloud grass, a 5th grade spiritual herb. It's a pity that it's too small. Luli, you have made a great contribution this time. When you go back, you will become an official guest warrior. Your merits will also be converted into contribution points. Thank you, Elder Hong. Although Mr. Hong was only a deacon of the Lu family's external clan, he had been in the Lu family for decades and had a high status. Since he said so, there should be no problem. The wolf pack outside had not retreated yet, so Elder Hong ordered everyone to enter the depths of the cave. This way, the human aura would not be as strong, and the wolf pack might retreat. Once inside, the stone rats dare not to come out and attack anymore. The tunnel was still blocked. Elder Hong signaled everyone to stop. He sent Luyu and another warrior to explore the remaining 2 tunnels. With the help of the dim light, he looked at Lu Yi and said, Lady, this is not normal. So many wolf kings have come out. This time, our family has suffered a great loss. Isn't there a powerful warrior guarding the other side of the valley? I don't know. In the dim cave, Lu Yi looked terrible. She had brought 300 warriors back to the Lu family, and there were hundreds of warriors in the original camp. Judging from the situation this time, there were less than 100 warriors that could escape. If Patriarch Kai was killed, then the Lu family would suffer a great loss. She frowned and thought for a while before she said, The valley should be guarded by powerful warriors of the big families in turns. I wonder which family is guarding it this time. If nothing happened, then they're trying to set us up on purpose. Set up? Luli thought of something. Could it be the warriors of a Zhao family or Diba? If it were Diba, it would be easy to understand why they sent some wolf kings over to trap and kill Luli. Of course, it was pointless to let his imagination run wild here. Whether or not someone was trying to set them up could only be known after investigation. They were not really out of danger yet. They had to break out of the encirclement and go back to the county or wait for powerful warriors to come to their aid. The Wolf King was a second-rank Xian beast. Anyone below the Spirit Sea realm would definitely die if they encountered it. If they encountered the Wolf King, there was a 90% chance that they would all die. Lu Yu and Patriarch Kai came back from exploring, but they did not find anything. They had to cultivate and wait in the dark cave. Luli sat in a corner with his legs crossed. At first, he was worried about the small beast. He quietly opened the jute bag and vaguely saw that the small beast was sleeping again. Then he went straight into meditation to cultivate. Boom, boom, boom. Not knowing how much time had passed, the sky should have been bright by now. Suddenly, there came a sound of the ground shaking. Elder Hong opened his eyes and shouted to Lu Yu, "Lu Yu, go and have a look." Lu Yu ran away and came back after the time for one incense stick to burn. He said in a deep voice, "They're on our side." I heard Brother Wu's voice. Lu Wu. He was the chief commander of the Silver Wolf Escorts, the most powerful escort leader of the Lu family. Everyone was excited. They all rushed outside. As expected, they could hear Lu Wu's angry roar and the howls of the Silver Wolves. "Lu Li, break the entrance." "Lu," he shouted. Lu Li tied the jute bag to his back, lifted his Heaven Kylan sword, and hacked at the entrance. The boulders outside were smashed away. It was really bright outside. A team of Silver Wolf escorts was fighting with the Iron Spur Wolves. Everyone was overjoyed to see the familiar face of Lu Wu. "Lady." Lu Wu was relieved to see Lu Yi. More than half of the Iron Spur Wolves gathered outside were killed. Lu Yu rushed over on his Silver Wolf and said with joy, "Lady, you are well. I can put my mind at ease now." Lu Yi's eyes reddened. She looked at Lu Wu and asked, "How are Patriarch Kai and the others?" "Dead." Lu Wu's eyes were filled with anger. He clenched his teeth and said, "The Zhao family let out the 3 Wolf Kings on purpose. Patriarch Kai was bitten to death by the Wolf King. At least 500 men of the family died in battle. Chief Patriarch has gone to the super families to ask for an explanation. If the super families don't help us, then we will leave the frigid Cloud Mountain alone." Zhao family, Lu Yi, Patriarch Hong, and the others were filled with grief and indignation. Lu Li's face looked awful. As far as he was concerned, it must be Diba who instigated the Zhao family to kill him. Lu Li felt guilty that so many people had died. "Lady," Lu Wu thought about it and said, "Chief Patriarch asked all the regular warriors to go back to the county to wait for orders. This time, the super families won't help us. When we go back, we will wipe out the Zhao family. You go back now. The 3 Wolf Kings have been killed. Many of the wolves have been killed. The way back is safe. Yes, wipe out the Zhao family." Lu Yi and the others showed killing intent in their eyes. Lu Wu went back to attack the wolves. When all the wolves nearby were killed, he ran back with dozens of Silver Wolf escorts to continue to kill the remaining wolves and rescue the surviving warriors of the Lu family. "Go back." Lu Yi shouted in grief and led the others down the mountain. Lu Li followed her in silence. He was still a bit uneasy, afraid that Lu Yi would vent her anger on him. "P.S. I was just passing by, but I missed it. How about collecting one?" Chapter 37. Lu Li thought too much. The Zhao family and the Lu family had been in conflict recently. Lu Yi and the others did not associate it with Diba. They just kept running in silence. At the foot of the mountain, they found some horses that had escaped. They ran all the way back to the county without stopping. By the time they got back to the Lu family, it was already midnight. Lu Yi went to the backyard angrily. Patriarch Hong asked Lu Li to go back to rest and left in a hurry. Back at the guest clan, Lu Li went into his own yard. Lu Ling was reading a book with a lamp in her room. She was surprised to see Lu Li come back. She thought of something and asked, "Did something happen?" Theoretically speaking, Luli should have finished his task quickly after he went to the frigid cloud mountain. It would take him at least a few days to come back. However, he had only been gone for 2 days. Lu Ling saw Luli covered in blood. She was smart enough to tell that something serious had happened. Luli took a big gulp of water and told her what happened from beginning to end. He also told her his speculation. Lu Ling was filled with murderous intent after she heard everything. She said in a cold voice, "Even if Di Ba was not the mastermind, he must have something to do with it. Luli, when you have the chance, you must get to the bottom of this. If Di Ba did it, kill his entire family." Luli was not in the mood to think about something so far away. He thought of the white beast in the jute bag. He looked around and helped Lu Ling into the room. Then he opened the jute bag, pointed to the sleeping white beast, and said, "Sis, what is this beast? Do you know it?" Lu Ling looked at it carefully. Luli told her about his encounter with the beast. Lu Ling shook her head and said, "I don't know. There are some descriptions of powerful Xian beasts in the books my father left me, but there is no such Xian beast. Maybe it is because the Xian beast is too small and it is not fully grown yet." It was dark in the cave, so Luli did not see the beast clearly. Now that he looked at it carefully in the candlelight, he felt that the beast was extraordinary. The beast had snow-white fur, soft and beautiful. Not a single strand of hair was out of place. Its head was like a cat's, but there was a short and beautiful mane on its head. It looked like a lion cub. Inside the mane, there were 2 small black horns that had not grown out yet, so they were covered by the mane. The claws of the beast were very beautiful. They were white and shiny, reflecting cold light. They must be very sharp. Luli was secretly shocked when he thought about the speed of the beast. If he was scratched by this beast, he might lose a piece of his flesh. Lu Ling frowned and asked, "You said the beast was staring at your animal tooth pendant?" His eyes were filled with fear, but also a little hot. Luli nodded and then added, "Sis, this animal tooth pendant of mine can glow. When I was making the healing ointment, the animal tooth pendant glowed, and it was flickering. Also, the wounds on my body healed very quickly. There is such a thing." Lu Ling raised her eyebrows and looked at the animal tooth pendant. She nodded and said, "It seems that this animal tooth pendant is indeed a treasure. This little beast is willing to follow you because of the animal tooth pendant. Father put the animal tooth on you when you were born, so he should know the origin of the animal tooth." Treasure? Luli stared at the animal tooth pendant and observed it carefully. However, he did not find anything special about it. It was just an average animal tooth, only as thick as a little finger. Theoretically speaking, it should not be the tooth of a powerful Xian beast. The more powerful the Xian beast, the larger its size would be. "You can't reveal this beast tooth of yours in the future." Lu Ling turned around and walked into the room. She took out a small black bag and handed it to Luli. "Put the animal tooth pendant in this bag and hide it under your clothes. Don't let anyone see it." Squeak, squeak. Right at that moment, the white little beast suddenly opened its eyes. It stared at the animal tooth pendant and kept making strange noises. Its eyes were filled with fear, but its eyes were sparkling. It seemed that it was longing for something. It really is because of the animal tooth pendant. What kind of Xian beast does this animal tooth pendant belong to? Luli was surprised. It was a pity that his father was missing and nobody told him about the origin of the animal tooth pendant. Luli thought about it and put the animal tooth pendant back into the small bag. He even stretched out the black string of the necklace and hid it in his clothes. Now that the animal tooth pendant was hidden, the little beast quieted down. It looked around with curiosity and circled around Luli while wagging its short tail. However, the way it looked at Lu Ling was very cold, completely different from how it treated Lu Ling did not mind at all. Instead, she said to Lu with excitement, "This little beast might be of the 3rd rank, but is not long since it was born. You must take good care of it. It will be a great help to you in the future." The white little beast was just born, but it already had the speed of a warrior of the spirit sea realm. What would it be like when it grew up? Also, the spiritual intelligence of this white little beast was very high. Xian beasts of low ranks could not be this intelligent. It was very likely that it was of the third rank. Xian beasts of the third rank were more powerful than warriors of the Soul Pond realm. Once it grew up, it would be a piece of cake for it to fight against regular warriors of the Soul Pond realm. Xian beast of the third rank. Luli was secretly delighted. Xian beasts could be tamed. For example, the silver wolf escorts of the Lu family. The silver wolves they rode on were tamed since they were little. They were as fast as the wind, and their combat abilities were comparable to Xian beasts of the first rank. "Little guy, come here." Lu bent over and reached out his hand. The white little beast jumped onto Lu's hand affectionately. The little beast was too small, only the size of fist. At this moment, it was looking up at Lu in a fawning manner, just like a cute kitten, very adorable. Lu reached out his hand and gently stroked the mane of the little beast. The little beast closed its eyes comfortably and soon fell asleep in Lu's hand again. "You are all white. I will call you Little White then." Lu had taken a liking to this little beast. He left it in the corner and turned around to take a bath to wash off the blood on his body. When he finished his bath, there was a knock on the door. The chief steward of the guest clan sent someone to deliver food. He also brought a message from Cheng Chu, asking Lu to have a good rest and talk about other matters the next day. Lu enjoyed his meal. After he was full, he thought of the little beast. He picked it up and put it on the table. Pointing to the little beast that had opened its eyes, he said, "Little White, are you hungry? Eat something, whatever you like." Lu sat on the side and looked at the little beast with a smile. The dinner sent by the Lu family today was very sumptuous with a lot of meat. The little beast should like it, right? Squeak, squeak. The little beast glanced at it and shook its head with disdain. It had no intention of eating at all. Lu and Lu Ling looked at each other. Both were surprised. If the little beast did not eat meat, did it eat grass? Lu got up and went out to find some carrots and cabbage for the little beast. The little beast was even more disdainful. It jumped off the table and went back to sleep in the corner. "It doesn't eat anything?" Lu blinked his eyes in confusion and looked at Lu Ling. The latter thought about it and said, "Maybe this little beast is of a higher rank, so the food it eats is special. Tomorrow, we will find something else for it to try. It is late at night. You should go to bed early." "Okay." Lu got up reluctantly. After some thoughts, he carried the little beast back to his room. Even though the little beast behaved well in all aspects, what if its bestial nature broke out and hurt Lu Ling? Putting the little beast in his room, Lu cultivated with his legs crossed for half the night before falling asleep. Crack, crack, at dawn, Lu was awakened by a strange sound. He suddenly sat up and looked towards the source of the sound. After a glance, his hair stood on end. His eyes were wide open as if he had seen a ghost in broad daylight. Chapter 38. The Heaven Kylan Sword was an Earth-grade Xian artifact. Even if it was broken, the material was very special. Lu had killed so many Iron Spur Wolves, but there was not a single chip or scratch on it. The hardness of the Heaven Kylan Sword was evident. Now this little white beast was gnawing on the Heaven Kylan Sword. Lu thought he was dreaming. He pinched his thigh to make sure he was not dreaming. Then he jumped up and shouted, "Little White, stop! No, stop!" Little White saw that Lu had woken up. It wagged its tail and trotted over to please him. Lu picked up the Heaven Kylan Sword and was relieved to see that only a small piece was gnawed off. This broken sword was very important to him now. It could increase his fighting capacity. Squeak, squeak, the door was pushed open. Lu Ling had already gotten up. She looked at Lu in confusion and asked, "What are you yelling for so early in the morning?" "Sis, look." Lu waved the Heaven Kylan Sword, pointed at Little White, and said, "Little White has gnawed on a corner of the Heaven Kylan Sword." Lu Ling was surprised. She and Lu looked at Little White that was still wagging its tail and begging for mercy. They both felt they were looking at a dreadful beast. This little thing could gnaw on the Heaven Kylan Sword. If it bit someone's neck or head, that person would lose his life immediately. It really is a high-level Xian beast. Lu Ling's eyes lit up. She said at once, "Lu, didn't you say you got some contribution points? Later, go find Cheng Chu and then go to the Hall of Weapons to exchange for the broken Xian artifact." Whatever little white wants to eat, just give it. As long as it can grow up quickly, it can even eat the entire Heaven Kylan sword. So what if it was a broken saber? As long as little white could grow up, it would be a very powerful help. Okay, of course, Luli understood. He put the Heaven Kylan sword on his back, got up, and went to wash up. He had some breakfast hastily. Before he went to find Chung Chu, the latter had come to him. Luli, you have successfully completed the mission. Now you're an official guest warrior of the Lu family. Chung Chu handed over a white token. He pointed to it and said, try to use your Xian energy. It records the contribution points you got at the frigid cloud mountain. Luli mobilized his Xian energy. The word guest lit up on the white token, followed by a row of numbers. Chung Chu explained with some envy, Luli, this time you found a 5th rank mystical herb. You're the one who made the most contribution, so you got 1,100 contribution points. Also, you fought valiantly. Miss E and Elder Hong have already reported it to the family and awarded you 300 contribution points. Kid, you're not bad. You just joined the family and you've already gotten over 1,000 contribution points. Others wouldn't be able to accumulate that much even after 1 or 2 years. Luli nodded to himself. Lu E and Patriarch Hong did not lie to him. They converted the 7-leafed heaven cloud grass into contribution points and gave it to him. He thought about it and asked, what can I get with contribution points? Anything can be exchanged. Chung Chu explained, as long as you have enough contribution points, you can buy the Delong tribe. I remember that a tribe costs 100,000 contribution points. In other words, if you have 100,000 contribution points, you can ask your family to help you become the chief of the Delong tribe. Chung Chu then added, profound armaments, pills, profound skills, cultivation manuals, spirit materials, and even the position of home master can be exchanged. For example, as long as you have 10,000 contribution points, you can exchange for my position. Luli said that he did not dare to do so. Chung Chu then warned him to stay in the guest clan for the time being and not to leave the Lu family. The Zhao family and the Lu family might go to war. An internal clan patriarch of the Lu family had already given the order to be ready for war with the Zhao family at any time. Of course, Luli would not go out for no reason. He was eager to cultivate in the guest clan for a while. He was confident that he could reach the peak of the Xianwu realm easily. After Chung Chu left, Luli looked at Lu Ling and asked, Sis, what should I do with the contribution points? Should I exchange them for some Xian skills? A real Xian artifact? Should I just give the Heaven Kylan sword a little white? No, Lu Ling said decisively. Luli, low-level Xian skills don't mean much apart from being pretty and fancy. You might as well continue to exchange for some high-level pellets that can increase strength. I don't think you need to exchange for a Xian artifact for the time being. Just help Little White get some abandoned Xian artifacts. High-level pellets of strength type. Luli was not stupid. He immediately understood what Lu Ling meant. At the frigid cloud mountain, he saw many warriors of the Xianwu realm with fancy Xian skills, but they were not as powerful as his. He even had the confidence to wound warriors at the later stage of the Xianwu realm. Absolute strength can crush all fancy Xian skills. Luli took Little White and left the guest clan. He threw Little White into the jute bag. Little White was a Xian beast of high rank. If someone coveted it, it would be a big trouble. Luli asked someone about the Hall of Pellets and went into a big attic. He showed his token and asked an old man guarding the Hall of Pellets. Pellets that can increase strength? The old man explained. Luli felt his heart ache. There were 3 kinds of pellets that could increase strength in the Lu family. The first was the body refinement pellet, the lowest level pellet. It was very cheap, 5 contribution points for 1 pellet. Luli still had some with him. The second one was the blood refinement pellet of the 5th rank of the human grade. Its efficacy was several times stronger than the body refinement pellet, but 1 pellet cost 30 contribution points. The last one was the blood refinement pellet of the 1st rank of the earth grade. However, Luli could not get even 1 pellet with his contribution points. Pellets, Xian artifacts, secret manuals were all divided into 3 ranks at the northern desert: Heaven, Earth, and Human. One rank had 9 ranks. For a third-rank family like the Lu family, the highest level of weapons, pellets, and secret manuals could only be of the Earth grade. Luli thought about it, made up his mind, and said, "Help me get 20 blood refinement pellets." "Young man," the old man thought about it and explained, "pellets for body refinement pellets will not be as effective if you take too many of them. You're going to get 20 pellets at one time. More than half of them will be wasted. Also, Xian energy and realm are the foundation of a warrior's cultivation. Physical strength is not of much significance." Luli understood what the old man said, but he still insisted on the blood refinement pellets. The old man had no choice but to help him get 20 blood refinement pellets. Then he watched Luli leave as if he was an idiot. Luli walked a few steps and arrived at the Hall of Weapons. Patriarch, he was still guarding here. When Patriarch, he saw Luli, he frowned. But when Luli took out his token, Patriarch, he was surprised. He asked in confusion, "Kid, it has only been a few days. Where did you get so many contribution points?" Luli grinned and explained casually. He cupped his fists and said, "Lord, I want to go to the same place as last time to get some abandoned Xian artifacts." "Abandoned Xian artifacts?" Patriarch, he looked at Luli as if he was an idiot. Why were Xian artifacts so precious? They could increase a warrior's fighting capacity. Abandoned Xian artifacts were not Xian artifacts anymore. What was the use of them? Didn't Luli already have a Heaven Kylan sword? Luli didn't explain. Patriarch, he opened the door to the attic, waved his hand, and said, "Go in. Bring out whatever you like." It was full of abandoned Xian artifacts. Patriarch, he didn't even bother to go in. He asked Luli to go in and look around. Luli did start to look around after he went in, but he was just pretending. After Patriarch, he entered the main hall of the Hall of Weapons. Luli let Little White out of the jute bag. He pointed to the abandoned Xian artifacts on the ground and said, "Little White, which ones do you like? Just choose." Squeak, squeak, Little White's eyes lit up. It grabbed a broken dagger with its 2 paws and was about to gnaw on it. Luli stopped it in a hurry. He picked up the dagger and asked Little White to keep looking. Chapter 39. P.S. Don't rush to play after you finish reading. Remember to vote for the monthly ticket first. From now on, you can enjoy double monthly ticket for the fan festival. You can also have a look at other activities where you can get red envelopes. Little White didn't eat all the weapons. It wandered around for a while and grabbed another broken sword. Luli followed it all the way and picked up more than a dozen weapons. Little White didn't seem to want to stop. It kept pointing here and there. Its little eyes were burning with eagerness. Soon, Luli picked up more than 20 broken weapons. He asked Little White to go into the jute bag. Little White was indeed intelligent. It listened to Luli's words and sneaked into the jute bag. "What do you want so many broken weapons for?" When Luli walked into the hall with more than 20 broken swords and sabers in his arms, Patriarch, he looked at him suspiciously and asked. Luli had an idea. He grinned and said, "I want to learn how to refine artifacts." Patriarch, he rolled his eyes. Was it so easy to learn how to refine artifacts? There were only 3 artifact refiners in the Lu family, and they were all of low rank. They could only refine Xian artifacts of the human grade. This silly kid wanted to learn how to refine artifacts with some broken Xian artifacts. He didn't want to waste time with Luli. He looked over the weapons and estimated all of them are human grade Xian artifacts. 5 of them are Xian artifacts of the 8th rank of the human grade. Let's convert them into 500 contribution points. 500 contribution points. Luli had 1,400 contribution points in total. He used up 1,101 go. He felt a bit of heartache, but thinking of Little White, he made up his mind and handed over the token. Patriarch, he deducted 500 contribution points. Luli's token only showed 300 contribution points. Luli went back to the guest clan with a pile of broken Xian artifacts in his arms. Many warriors of the Lu family were looking at him like he was a freak. Luli went into his room, threw the broken Xian artifacts in the corner, let Little White out, and said with a grin, "Eat. Eat whatever you want." Squeak, squeak, Little White shouted excitedly and pounced on the weapons. Under Luli's shocked gaze, Little White ate up a dagger in a few bites. Little White only ate the blade of the dagger, not the hilt. What's more, Little White was still not satisfied. It pounced on a dagger. Could this be a sea Tai beast? Lu Ling walked in with an ancient book in her hands. After a while, she shook her head and said, "According to the book, the sea iron beast has the body of a giant ox. It has big horns on its head, and its body is as black as charcoal. It feeds on iron, and its excrement is as hard as steel. This little beast is too small, and it's covered in white fur. It doesn't look like a sea iron beast. It's not a sea iron beast." Luli came over and took a look. He said with certainty, "The sea iron beast is a Xian beast of the 5th rank. The higher the rank and the more powerful the Xian beast is, the bigger its body will be. Even if it was just born, it would still be comparable to a fierce tiger, right? Little White is so small. How could it be a 5th rank Xian beast?" Lu Ling knew it was impossible. Even if a powerful Xian beast was just born, it would not be so small. After Little White finished eating the 2 weapons, it found a corner, curled up, and fell asleep. Lu Ling didn't care anymore. She told Lu Li to cultivate first so that he could be more powerful, so that he could face the bloodline awakening in a few days. Cultivate and refine the blood refining pill. Lu Li excitedly took out a blood refining pill and swallowed it directly. Soon, a warm current spread throughout his body. Lu Li waited quietly. He realized that the blood refining pill was indeed more powerful than the body refinement pill. He felt like his blood was boiling. But he had consumed 5 body refinement pills in one go before, so he could bear this temperature. He waited until the temperature stopped increasing. When he felt that he could bear it, he looked at his chest. Buzzing, as expected, the animal tooth pendant started to glow. But it was covered by the black bag, so the glow was very weak. Lu Li thought about it and took off the black bag to examine the animal tooth pendant. Lu Ling told him how the animal tooth pendant glowed when he consumed the body refinement pills. Lu Li was even more amazed now. The animal tooth pendant was indeed a rare treasure. It seemed that it could help the body absorb the efficacy of the pills. The animal tooth pendant glowed for more than 2 hours. The temperature started to decrease. Lu Li felt sleepy. He climbed onto the bed and had a good sleep. It really is a Xian pellet of the 5th rank of the human grade. I have gained at least 2,000 pounds of strength. After he woke up, Lu Li casually tested his strength and was overjoyed. He had 20 blood refining pills. Even if the efficacy of the later ones weakened, it seemed that he could gain at least 10,000 to 20,000 pounds of strength. When he reached the peak of the Xianwu realm, he could gain another 10,000 pounds of strength when he used the Xian energy. By then, his fighting capacity would definitely soar. Cultivate, cultivate. Lu Li was even more excited. He paid no attention to what was going on outside. Guest warriors usually did not go out on missions, and nobody cared about them. He had enough time to cultivate. There were more than 10 days before the bloodline awakening. Lu Li wanted to use this time to open up all his energy channels and consume all the blood refining pills. Lu Li and Lu Ling were not paying attention to what was going on outside. But the Lu family was in chaos outside. Everyone in the internal clan and outer clan of the Lu family were indignant. Many people were clamoring to kill their way into the Zhao family and wipe them out. Several patriarchs of the internal clan were suppressing the Lu family people. The Lu family had gone through great changes recently. This time, many warriors of the Lu family had died in the battle at the frigid Cloud Mountain. On the other hand, the family patriarch of the Zhao family had made a breakthrough, and he had successfully established a relationship with a big family. Nobody knew what would happen if there was a conflict between the Lu family and the Zhao family. The Lu family was holding the coffin carrying ceremony because the Lu family had gone through great changes. The Lu family patriarch was seriously injured by a powerful Xian beast. He was still in a coma, and it was possible that he would never wake up. Currently, all the affairs of the Lu family were managed by the chief patriarch, who was at the frigid Cloud Mountain. He was looking for other big families to help him make a decision and denounce the Zhao family. Naturally, The county of Lu family could not be in chaos first. Because of what happened to the frigid cloud mountain, the atmosphere in the county of Lu family was tense and tense. There were still 3 second-rank families in the county of Lu family that restricted their people. Usually, they were not allowed to step into their families to avoid being involved in the conflicts between the Lu family and the Zhao family. The Lu family had suffered great losses. Now that the Zhao family had established a relationship with a big family, the structure of the Wuling County could be changed. If the other small families made one wrong move, they could fall into the abyss. Time flew by. Soon, 6 days had passed. Luli had been staying in the guest clan to cultivate his Xian energy, to open up his energy channels, and to consume the blood refinement pellets. 10 days was not a long time, but Luli's progress was obvious. He had consumed all 20 blood refinement pellets. At first, he would consume 1 pellet at a time, but later on, he could consume 3 or 4 pellets at a time. The process was fast. He consumed the remaining body refinement pellets as well. At the moment, his physical strength had increased by more than 17,000 pounds. Including his original strength, his physical strength had reached nearly 15,000 pounds. 15,000 pounds of strength. In terms of physical strength alone, with the help of the Xian energy, Luli had already surpassed the initial stage of the Spirit Sea realm. He could barely be compared to the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm. Of course, in terms of comprehensive fighting capacity, Luli could not be compared with a warrior of the Spirit Sea realm. After all, it was extremely difficult to make a breakthrough in any realm. After a breakthrough, one's fighting capacity would increase by several times. A warrior's fighting capacity was not only about physical strength. Speed, reaction ability, defensive power, the density of Xian energy, high-level Xian skills, and so on would all have an impact on one's fighting capacity. Luli had opened up 8 energy channels and reached the later stage of the Xianwu realm. He was only 4 energy channels away from the peak of the Xianwu realm. Once he condensed the Spirit Sea, he could break through to the next realm. It seemed that the remaining 4 energy channels could not be opened up without more than half a month. The more advanced one was, the more difficult it would be to cultivate. This was a truth that had never changed since ancient times. Martial arts cultivation was to go against nature. How could nature be so easy to go against? Tomorrow is the end of half a month. Luli stopped cultivating and decided to have a good sleep today. He would wake up early tomorrow morning and go to the temple to awaken his bloodline. Bloodline awakening. Luli was very excited when he thought of this. Lu Ling said that he would definitely awaken a powerful bloodline and that she would tell him everything after that. Bloodline warriors were the most powerful warriors of the northern desert. Once Lu Li succeeded in awakening a powerful bloodline, his strength would change drastically, and his status in the Lu family would become transcendent. Chapter 40. So many days had passed, but there was no news from the frigid cloud mountain. Those who went to ask for instructions from the chief patriarch only received an order to be patient. The depressing atmosphere in the county eased up a bit. However, when the warriors of the Lu family and the Zhao family ran into each other, they would still glare at each other angrily, insulting and ridiculing each other. There were several times when a conflict almost broke out. Luli did not know what was going on outside. He slept soundly and got up early in the morning. He saw that little white was sleeping again. He shook his head helplessly. The little beast had eaten 7 or 8 weapons recently. It would sleep after eating and eat again when it woke up. Luli left all the abandoned Xian artifact there for it to eat and did not mind it. After breakfast, Luli looked at Lu Ling and said, "Sis, I'm going to the temple." "Okay." Lu Ling nodded with a smile. "Remember this. Don't panic no matter what happens. If it is a powerful bloodline that has been awakened, don't pay attention to any solicitations. Come back first." "I will remember." Lu Li carried the Heaven Kylan sword on his back and walked out in strides. After he left the west gate, he took a detour to the south gate. The temple was in the plaza to the south of the south gate. At the south gate, he found that the south gate of the Liu family was wide open. A team of silver wolf escorts gathered here, including Patriarch Hong and Liu Yu. Liu Li. Patriarch Hong was familiar with Liu Li. He greeted Liu Li with a smile from the distance. Liu Yu looked at Liu Li more kindly now. The rest of the silver wolf escorts nodded to show their respect. Liu Li cupped his fists with a smile. Patriarch Hong asked with concern, "Where are you going so early in the morning? It is not peaceful in the county lately. You better not go out of the family." Liu Li thought about it and decided to tell the truth. After today, the Liu family would value him more. He explained, "Half a month ago, I pushed open the gate of the temple. Today, I'm going to try my luck." Oh, Patriarch Hong and the others looked at Liu Li with new eyes. At least, there was hope for him to awaken his bloodline if he could push open the gate of the temple. Bloodline warriors were the most powerful warriors of the entire northern desert. Any warrior who could awaken a high-level bloodline would be destined to become an overlord and look down upon all heroes as long as he did not die prematurely. "Wait here," Old Hong said. "We will also go to the divine temple." This time, 8 children from our family pushed open the doors of the divine temple. "Later on, you will follow us to the divine temple." Okay, Liu Li nodded. Following the warriors of the Liu family would guarantee his safety. There would be no accidents. After a while, Misty came out riding on her silver wolf with a few children. There were 5 boys and 3 girls, and they were led by a few men. Their faces were flushed, and they were very excited. "Liu Li, why are you here?" When Liu Yi saw Liu Li, she asked. Patriarch Hong explained. Liu Yi's eyes lit up. Liu Li's physique was so abnormal that he could push open the gate of the temple. Could he really awaken his bloodline? "Let's go." It was still too early to say anything. In recent years, thousands of people had entered the divine temple every year, but not a single one of them had awakened their bloodline. Not even a first-grade or second-grade low-grade bloodline could be awakened. The group of people slowly walked towards the godly temple. When they got close to the godly temple, Liu Yi and the others' expressions changed. Killing intent rose from their bodies as they glared at a group of people not far away. People of the Zhao family. Liu Li glanced over and found a group of warriors in cyan armors. Liu Li's expressions turned cold. It seemed that some children of the Zhao family were also going to enter the temple. Among the warriors stood 10 boys. All of them were flushed with excitement. Not far away, there were some other people, disciples of big families. There were more than 40 children in total. All those who came to awaken their bloodlines were 6 years old. Only Liu Li was 15. The temple would open the bloodline altar on the same day every month. Anyone who could push open the gate of the temple could go in and awaken their bloodline. Today, they were here to escort the disciples of the families to awaken their bloodlines. Liu Yi and the warriors of the Zhao family restrained themselves. There was no conflict. Everyone waited quietly. After an hour, the gate of the temple was finally opened. Anyone who can push open the gate of the temple can come in and awaken their bloodline. But there must be no more than 3 people accompanying them. The black-robed old man said coldly. Liu Yi, Patriarch Hong, and Liu Yu walked towards the temple with the children. Liu Yi nodded to Liu Li, who followed them. 3 warriors from the other families walked out and led the team into the temple. Everyone behaved themselves after they entered the temple. Nobody dared to act rashly. Acting rashly in the temple would only bring disaster to one's own family. The temple was not big. It was dim inside. Candles were lit on the ancient walls. They entered a spacious hall with a huge altar in the middle. There were all kinds of mysterious patterns and runes on the altar. They were complicated and abstruse to the extreme. Liu Li was dazzled just by looking at them. At the moment, there were 3 men in black robes standing by the altar. They were all covered in black robes. Only half of their skinny faces could be seen. Nobody dared to say anything after they came in. They all stood on the empty ground to the south of the altar in silence. After a while, an old man said, 5 at a time. Sit on the altar with your legs crossed and get rid of all distracting thoughts. Don't panic if there are any unusual movements. The awakening ceremony will not hurt you. An old man of the Zhao family waved his hand. 5 children walked into the altar. The children must have been told beforehand. They didn't move around after they entered. They just sat with their legs crossed with their eyes closed. Activate the bloodline altar. An old man of the temple shouted in a deep voice. The hands of the 3 old men lit up with Xian energy. The Xian energy actually left their bodies and shot into the altar. External release of Xian energy. Soul Pond Realm. Luli was shocked. He didn't know much about cultivation, but it didn't mean that he didn't know that external release of Xian energy was a sign of the Soul Pond Realm. There were 3 powerful warriors of the Soul Pond Realm in this small temple. The Xianwu realm was the sign of a first-rank family. The Spirit Sea realm was the sign of a second-rank family. And a warrior of the Soul Pond Realm was the sign of a third-rank family. Families and forces at the northern desert had a clear hierarchy. The hierarchy was simple. It was how many powerful warriors the family had. A family with 3 warriors of the Xianwu realm could be a first-rank family or force. For example, the Dilong tribe could be a first-rank force. A family with 3 warriors of the Spirit Sea realm could be a second-rank family or force, such as the Zhao family, the Lu family, and several other families in the city. A family with 3 warriors of the Soul Pond realm could be a third-rank family or force. There is only one third-rank family in the Wuling County, the Lu family. The Lu family had 3 powerful warriors of the Soul Pond realm. 3 warriors of the Fate Wheel realm could be a 4th-rank family. 3 warriors of the Eternal realm could be a 5th-rank royal family. The 3 most powerful families at the northern desert were 5th-rank royal families. Buzzing, as the 3 old men of the temple kept pouring out Xian energy, the altar suddenly glowed, which attracted Lu Li's attention. He stopped thinking about it and looked at the altar carefully. Unfortunately, the altar was getting brighter and brighter. It was so bright that Lu Li could not look at it directly. Not only him, but Lu Yi and the others also turned their heads around or closed their eyes, waiting for the awakening ceremony to end quietly. The 3 old men of the temple stopped pouring out Xian energy. They closed their eyes and sat with their legs crossed. Every awakening ceremony would take an hour. If someone could awaken his bloodline, the altar would shake. However, the altar hadn't shaken for many years. Sure enough, after an hour, the glow of the altar died down and everything went back to normal. From the beginning to the end, the altar didn't shake at all. It meant that none of the 5 people that entered had awakened their bloodline. The old man of the Zhao family looked a bit upset. He waved his hand to let the 5 children out and then brought the other 5 into the altar. Then he cupped his fists and said to the 3 old men of the temple, "Thank you, my lords." The 3 old men opened their eyes without saying anything. They just released their Xian energy and activated the bloodline altar again. Buzzing, the white glow of the altar was glaring like the sun. Lu Li and the others closed their eyes or turned their heads around again, waiting quietly. Chapter 41. Bang! After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the altar suddenly trembled. The walls of the temple glowed. Everyone was stunned at first, and then the 3 warriors of the Zhao family were overjoyed. The altar trembled, which meant that a child of the Zhao family might have awakened his bloodline. Bang! Not long afterward, the altar trembled again. This time, it was more obvious. The walls were glowing, and the runes were wandering. A strange force came out from the runes. The 3 elders of the temple suddenly opened their eyes. One of them nodded to the warriors of the Zhao family. The 3 warriors of the Zhao family were even more overjoyed. The people of the temple were sure that a child of the Zhao family had awakened his bloodline, and his rank must be high. On the other hand, Lu Yi and the others looked awful. The Lu family had been through a great change, and so many people had died on the frigid cloud mountain. The family's strength had been greatly damaged. If a powerful bloodline warrior were to be awakened in the Zhao family, it would be even worse for the Lu family. Time passed bit by bit. An hour later, the altar's light dimmed, and everyone's gazes immediately swept over the 5 children. When they saw a faint cyan mark on the left side of the child's neck, they were in an uproar. Red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, black, gold. This was the color of the bloodline. The cyan mark represented the bloodline of the 5th rank. The child of the Zhao family had awakened a bloodline of the 5th rank. 5th rank. The bloodline of the Liu family patriarch was only of the 4th rank. The 5th rank was a very high bloodline. If this child could survive, he would definitely become a powerful warrior that could look down upon all. Whoosh! The 3 warriors of the Zhao family rushed over and surrounded the child. Then the 3 of them cupped their fists to the elders of the temple. They left the other 9 children alone and rushed out of the temple with the child who had awakened his bloodline. Lu Yu, Patriarch Hong shouted. Lu Yu left at once. Clearly, he was going back to report to the Liu family. The Zhao family had awakened such a powerful bloodline warrior. The Liu family must find a way to deal with it. Otherwise, the Wuling County might be the Zhao family. What kind of luck does the Zhao family have? Lu Yi looked awful. She murmured in annoyance. The rest of the families were also envious. Once this child grew up, the Zhao family would be able to enjoy a meteoric rise. Silence! Shouted an elder of the divine temple. He waved his hand at the Liu family. The people of the Liu family hurriedly sent their children to the altar. Seeing that someone from the Zhao clan had awakened a 5th grade bloodline, the rest of the people became excited. How great would it be if their own clan also awakened a powerful bloodline warrior? Unfortunately, for the next few awakenings, there was no movement from the altar. No one succeeded in awakening their bloodline. One by one, the children went in full of hope, but in the end, they all walked out dejectedly. 5 people awakened at a time, and each awakening lasted for an hour. The efficiency was quite high. Lu Li had never taken the initiative to enter the bloodline altar. He wanted to wait until there were fewer people before he awakened his bloodline altar. Also, he was already over 10 years old, so he thought he should give in to the kids. As time went by, the children of the families and the tribes outside had all awakened. Only a few people of the Liu family were left. The children were taken out. However, there were also elders from several tribes and clans who were watching the show. They wanted to see if there would be another miracle today. Go in. Patriarch Hong brought the 5 children into the altar. Then he and Lu Yi closed their eyes and prayed silently, hoping for a miracle to happen and for the Liu family to awaken a powerful bloodline warrior. No miracle happened. None of the 5 children of the Liu family could awaken their bloodline. Lu Yi looked at the remaining 3 children and Lu Li with disappointment. She waved for the 4 of them to go in. Lu Li took a deep breath and walked into the altar. Then he closed his eyes and sat with his legs crossed. The other 3 children also walked in nervously and sat with their legs crossed with their eyes closed. The 3 elders of the temple poured out their Xian energy, and the altar lit up again. At that moment, Lu Li somehow felt a strange force enveloping them. He could not move, and he could not even open his eyes. The white light was getting brighter and brighter. Lu Li could feel the dazzling white light, even with his eyes closed. Under the influence of the mysterious force, he felt his blood was boiling, just like when he consumed the body refinement pellet for the first time. However, his body did not feel burning, but his blood was boiling. Bang! The entire altar suddenly trembled. The blood in Lu Li's body was boiling even more violently. He had a vague feeling. He was about to awaken his bloodline. Lu Ling did not lie to him. He could definitely awaken his bloodline, and it would be a very powerful one. Lu Yi and Patriarch Hong's eyes were filled with excitement. Lu Yi's delicate body trembled. Her face was as red as a flower, dazzlingly beautiful. The rest of the people from the tribes and the big families who were there to watch the show were all surprised. The Liu family was so lucky that they were about to awaken a bloodline warrior. Buzzing. Right at that moment, the animal tooth pendant on Lu Li's neck suddenly glowed and fluctuated. Even though Lu Li could not move his body, he could clearly feel that the animal tooth pendant was moving. Don't move. Don't do anything stupid. At such a critical moment, the animal tooth pendant was agitated. Luli was scared to death. Please don't let the animal tooth pendant fail his bloodline awakening. Once he became a bloodline warrior, he would soar to the sky. If he missed such an opportunity, he would regret it for the rest of his life. Buzzing, unfortunately, the animal tooth pendant was agitated. Luli could not move his body, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Soon, Luli felt the animal tooth pendant suddenly became hot. The skin on his chest became boiling hot, as if it was about to burn. Dong, the altar shook violently again twice in a row. Clearly, it was more violent than when the Zhao family kid awakened his bloodline. The three elders of the temple suddenly stood up. Lu, Yi, and Patriarch Hong were so happy that they cried. Could it be that a kid of the Lu family was about to awaken a bloodline of the 6th or 7th rank? Good heavens! If a bloodline of the 6th or 7th rank was awakened, the kid of the Lu family would definitely be recruited into a 5th rank royal family and be trained with all their resources. The Lu family would also be able to build a strong relationship with the kid and rise rapidly. What is going on? However, Luli did not feel happy at all. He felt something strange suddenly entered his chest. He could vaguely feel that something was roaring and forcing its way into his bloodline. Because of that thing, his blood was completely boiling. His blood vessels were almost about to explode. He was in excruciating pain all over his body. Hang in there. Luli knew that no matter what was going on, he could not make any noise, let alone move. This was the most critical moment for the bloodline awakening. If something went wrong, he might not even know how he died. As time went by, the blood in his body began to calm down. The animal tooth pendant no longer heated up, and his body gradually calmed down. The white light on the altar gradually dimmed down and eventually disappeared completely. Luli had already opened his eyes. He was relieved when he made sure that the animal tooth pendant was no longer glowing and he could move. Green, how can it be? Lu, Yi, and the others looked over at once. They saw a kid next to Lu Li with only a green mark on his neck. Everyone, including the three elders of the temple, were confused. The altar was shaking so violently. How could he only awaken a bloodline of the 4th rank? This did not make sense. Luli saw that everyone was staring at the kid next to him. Nobody was looking at him. He blinked and had a bad feeling. Could it be that he failed to awaken his bloodline? Whether the bloodline awakening was successful or not depended on whether there was a bloodline mark on his neck. Luli could not see his own neck, so he had to stand up and walk towards Patriarch Hong. Patriarch Hong glanced at him and did not pay any more attention. He continued to stare at the three kids with a frown. Lu Li's heart sank. It seemed that he did not have a bloodline mark on his neck. It was highly possible that he had failed to awaken his bloodline. Animal tooth pendant. Lu Li clenched his fists, clenched his teeth, and shouted in rage. Just now, he was about to succeed, but the animal tooth pendant stopped him. Chapter 42. 4th rank bloodline. Lords, he didn't care about Lu Li at all. She pointed at the kid and looked at the three elders from the temple. One of the elders from the temple walked to the kid and said in a deep voice, "Kid, there must be some more information in your head now. Think about it. That is a bloodline skill. Tell me, what is it?" Bloodline skill? Lu Li's pupils contracted and he trembled. He felt there was some unknown information in his head as well. Just now, he had been thinking about the bloodline awakening and didn't pay much attention to it. Now, he hurried to sort out the extra information. The kid thought about it, looked up and said, "It seems to be roaring flames." Hearing the kid's words, Lu, Yi, and Patriarch Hong's expressions turned gloomy. The family patriarch of the Lu family, Lu Yi's grandpa, had the bloodline skill roaring flames. The bloodline that the kid had awakened was of the 4th rank. The elder from the temple nodded and said, "It is a 4th rank bloodline. There must be something wrong with the altar. That's why it shook so much." The other two elders nodded in agreement. Roaring Flames was a 4th rank bloodline skill. It matched the green mark on the kid's neck. It seemed that there was something wrong with the altar. Luli suddenly let out an exclamation. He was shocked. There was a lot of information in his head. After he sorted it out, he realized it was the bloodline skill, burning blood. He had a bloodline skill, but why was there no bloodline mark on his neck? Also, what grade of bloodline divine skill was burning blood? What grade of bloodline did he awaken? Everyone was attracted by Lu Li's surprise. They all looked over. Lu Li frowned and asked, "Lu Li, what is it?" Lu Li wanted to tell them about his bloodline skill and asked the elder from the temple about the strange things that happened to him. But on second thought, his awakening was not normal. If he told them, he would expose the animal tooth pendant. What if others coveted it? Also, there was no bloodline mark on his neck. Would he be used as a lab rat by the temple? Lu Li made up his mind in an instant. He touched his nose and said to the kid of the Lu family, "How can it be a fourth-rank bloodline?" I felt that the kid's blood was boiling so much that the altar shook for several times. On the mention of this, Lu, Yi, and Patriarch Hong became gloomy again. Everyone looked back to the kid to see if they were wrong. No matter how they looked, there was still a green mark. Lu Yi had no choice but to thank the three elders and left with the others. Although it was not a sixth or seventh rank bloodline, to be able to awaken a fourth rank bloodline was already not bad. If the Lu family were to be properly nurtured, they would be able to have another expert. A group of people had already gathered in the square outside, and all of them had expressions of curiosity and bewilderment. Because when the child of the Zhao family awakened, a dazzling light shone outside the temple. When the children of the Lu family and Lu Li awakened their bloodlines, the light was even more dazzling. It meant that there were two children who had awakened powerful bloodlines. Someone saw the green mark on the Zhao family's child's neck. The awakening of a fifth-grade bloodline almost caused the square to boil. The Lu family boy came out. Li family Lu divine sect. Just now, the light from the temple was so blinding that everyone could not open their eyes. Anyways, two bloodline warriors awakened in the Wuling County. This was a grand event. The plaza was lively and people were talking about it. Lu, Yi, and the others escorted the kid back to the Lu family. Lu Li was immersed in his own strange situation. He was not in the mood to see the people at the plaza. He walked towards the Lu family in silence. Lu Li, what he didn't know was that someone in the crowd snorted while gnashing his teeth. If Lu Li saw this person, he would be filled with murderous intent. This person was Di Hua, the eldest son of Di Ba. Di Hua had joined the Zhao family. He was wearing the cyan armor of the Zhao family. There were several young men with him who were all wearing cyan armors of the Zhao family. Di Hua, what happened? After Lu Li and the others left, a handsome and noble young man next to Di Hua asked with confusion. Di Hua looked away. He cupped his fist to the young man and said with respect, "Young Master Rue, that man is Lu Li, the one who started a massacre in our tribe. If I didn't run away fast enough, I wouldn't be able to follow you." "Oh, that's him." The young man smiled coldly. He patted Di Hua's shoulder and said, "Di Hua, don't worry. This man is only a guest warrior of the Lu family. The Lu family won't say anything even if you kill him. How about this? You go back and send someone to keep an eye on him. As soon as he leaves the county, I will get someone to kill him for you." "Thank you, young Master Rue." Di Hua quickly expressed his gratitude with joy. This young Master Rue was the #1 young master of the Zhao family. He was also the most talented genius in the entire Wuling County. He had reached the Spirit Sea realm at the age of 21. As long as he made a move, Lu Li would die for sure. Let's go. The Lu family only has one bloodline of the fourth rank awakened. There is nothing to see. Young Master Rue waved his hand and led a group of young men towards the Zhao family with joy. Now that the Zhao family had one bloodline of the fifth rank awakened, the status of the Zhao family would rise accordingly. Maybe the Wuling County was about to change. After they entered the yard of the Lu family, Lu Yi hurriedly brought the child to the backyard. Lu Li walked towards the guest clan with a face full of doubts. "Sis." A young girl was standing at the door of the guest clan with a cane and a veil on her face. Lu Li called out to Lu Ling when he saw her. He stood there with guilt written all over his face. Lu Ling had been staring at Lu Li's neck. After a few looks, her beautiful eyes dimmed down. She dropped the cane in her hand powerlessly. Her delicate body trembled. She murmured in disbelief. How could the awakening fail? How could it fail? No way, no way. Lu Li was frightened to see Lu Ling's delicate body trembling. She was on the verge of collapsing to the ground. He hurried over in strides to help Lu Ling. Lu Ling stared at Lu Li's neck for a while. She still could not believe it and asked, Lu Li, you failed the awakening? I don't know. Lu Li did not know how to explain. He thought about it and said, Sis, let's go inside and talk. Lu Ling's eyes lit up. She picked up her cane and entered her own yard with the help of Lu Li. As soon as they got inside, Lu Li closed the door and told Lu Ling everything that happened in the temple. Animal tooth pendant? You were disturbed by the animal tooth pendant when you were awakening your bloodline? On hearing this, Lu Ling's eyes were filled with anger. She sighed bitterly and said, If nothing goes wrong, you'll be able to awaken an 8th rank King Kong bloodline and get an 8th rank bloodline skill, Mystic Armor. After you release the Mystic Armor, nobody in the entire Wuling County can break your defense. This time, the animal tooth pendant has ruined you. 8th rank bloodline skill, Mystic Armor? Lu Li's eyes were wide open. The highest level of bloodline was the 9th rank. If he could awaken an 8th rank bloodline, maybe the 3 5th rank royal families of the Northern Desert would get on their knees and beg him to join their families. Sis, how can you be so sure? Lu Li once again threw out his doubts. Lu Ling paused for a bit and explained, because we are disciples of the immediate Lu family. The Lu family is one of the 10 most powerful bloodline families of the Central Plains. Any male disciple of the immediate Lu family can awaken the King Kong bloodline and get the Mystic Armor skill. The King Kong bloodline is the most powerful defensive bloodline of the Central Plains. My father has awakened the King Kong bloodline. When he uses his bloodline skill, he can defeat any warrior of the human sovereign realm. Boom! Lu Li's mind felt as if a thunderbolt had exploded on a clear day. He trembled violently. His father, Lu Ren Wang, was really a powerful warrior of the human sovereign realm. P.S. I want to collect. Chapter 43. The Lu family is not qualified for you to work for them. You can only be a guest warrior in any family. You'll find that they're just a bunch of clowns after you awaken your bloodline. Lu Li remembered what Lu Ling once said. Now he was enlightened. He also understood why there were so few impurities and blockages in his energy channels. So, he had such a powerful background. His father was such a powerful warrior. The more powerful the bloodline warrior was, the purer his bloodline would be, and the chances of his offspring to awaken their bloodline would be higher. Since almost all the males of the immediate Lu family could awaken their bloodline, then the chances of Lu Li's bloodline being awakened would be high as well. Lu Li remembered the violent shaking of the altar and the boiling blood in his body when he awakened his bloodline. He was filled with regret. If it were not for the animal tooth pendant, he was sure that he could awaken the King Kong bloodline and get the Mystic Armor bloodline skill. Something is not right. Lu Li suddenly thought of something. He asked in surprise, Sis, since the Lu family is so powerful and our father is a disciple of the immediate Lu family, why didn't the family come for him or us? Where's the Central Plains? Is it at the Northern Desert? The Central Plains. Lu Ling sighed and said, I don't know where the Central Plains is. Our father said that if we want to go to the Central Plains, we must use the huge teleportation formation of the 3 royal families of the Northern Desert. Therefore, I want you to join the 3 royal families of the Northern Desert and become their guest warrior. Only in this way can you be teleported to the Central Plains, to our family, the Lu family. As for why the family didn't come for our father or us, I don't know. Maybe it is because our family is too far away from here. Maybe they don't know that our father is here or that we exist. I want you to join a 5th rank royal family so that we can teleport to the Central Plains and ask for reinforcements to save our father. Only the powerful warriors of our family can save our father and mother. Lu Ling's words made Lu Li even more excited. Ever since he was a kid, Lu Ling never talked about his father and mother. Now that she had said it, Lu Li would get to the bottom of it. He asked, "Where are our father and mother?" "Sis, since you said that our father can beat all the human Sovereign Realm warriors, and there are no human Sovereign Realm warriors at the northern desert, who can hurt him and trap him? Our father and mother are at the north." Pointing to the north, Lu Ling said they are in the ice abyss at the bottom. No one from the northern desert could enter the bottom of the abyss, not even the powerful warriors from the superfamilies. So, other than going back to the clan to ask for help, no one can save father and mother. Ice abyss. Lu Li trembled again. This was the most dangerous place of the northern desert. It was said that not even human Sovereign Realm warriors could make it out alive. His parents were in the deep abyss? Lu Li took a deep breath and asked in a trembling voice, "Father and mother have been missing for 15 years. Sis, how are you so sure that they are still alive?" "Yes." Lu Ling took out a beautiful white jade talisman, handed it to Lu Li, and said, "This is my father's token. There's a strand of his soul in it. If his father died, this token would also shatter. Therefore, father is definitely still alive. He's just trapped at the bottom of the abyss and can't come out." Lu Li took over the token and saw the character Lu written in bold and flamboyant calligraphy. He became more excited and his eyes were filled with passion. Because of his excitement, his body trembled incessantly. It took him a long time to calm down before he asked, "Sister, how did father fall into the abyss? Was he being hunted down by enemies?" "No." Lu Ling shook her head and said, "He went in by himself to save mother. When you were born, I was only 4 years old, but I remember it clearly. Father encountered powerful enemies and mother was injured. That was why I gave birth to you in advance. But she passed out because of excessive blood loss. By the time father came back from killing the enemies, mother was no longer breathing. Father told me some things, and then he took mother to the ice abyss. He said there was a kind of elixir in the abyss that could save mother. But he was gone for 15 years. Lu Ling's cheeks were covered in tears as she spoke. Her beautiful face was filled with longing and worry. Listening to Lu Ling's words, Lu Li had a picture in his mind. A man came back after killing enemies, only to find his wife covered in blood and no longer breathing. Beside him was his newborn son and his daughter, who was crying her eyes out. He knelt on the ground, looked up to the sky, and howled. His voice shook heaven and earth, shaking the icebergs around. In order to save his wife, he had no choice but to tell his 4-year-old daughter something. Then, bearing the pain, he left his 4-year-old daughter and newborn son behind and ran towards the ice abyss with his cold wife in his arms. He broke through many Xian beasts and jumped into the abyss with determination. Father, mother! Thinking of this, tears rolled down from Lu Li's eyes as well. Ever since he was a kid, he rarely shed tears. But this time he could not hold it back. His father was trapped in the ice abyss for 15 years. His mother's life and death were unknown, and his sister, who lost her parents when she was only 4 years old and still had to shoulder the heavy responsibility of their father and raise him. Somehow, Lu Li felt very guilty. Suddenly, he knelt on the ground and put his head on his sister's knees. He said with guilt, "Sister, I am sorry. I am useless. It is my fault that I could not awaken the King Kong bloodline. I don't blame you." Lu Ling wiped her tears and sighed. "The animal tooth pendant was left to you by father. This is fate. Something is not right. Father is so powerful. He didn't leave you any other treasures except for the animal tooth pendant. Also, you said you got a bloodline skill?" "Yes." Lu Li stood up straight, nodded, and said, "There is more information in my mind. It is the bloodline skill, Burning Blood. But why is there no bloodline mark on my neck?" Lu Ling looked around to make sure that there was no bloodline mark on Lu Li's neck. She thought about it and said, "Take off your shirt and let me see." Lu Li got up and took off his shirt, revealing his well-defined muscles. Lu Ling stood up with the help of her crutches and walked around Lu Li. When she got to Lu Li's back, she suddenly exclaimed, This. Lu Ling was young, but she had always been steady. In the past, She didn't even flinch when Di-Han and Dihua came to her door. But now, she said the word this 3 times in a row. It was clear how shocked she was. Lu Li turned around and asked with a frown, "What is it?" "Bloodline mark." Lu Ling pointed to Lu Li's back and said, "Your bloodline mark is on your back, and it is very big. It looks like a dragon, and it is silver." "What?" Lu Li opened his eyes wide in disbelief. He hurried to his room and looked at the bronze mirror. After a few looks, he was shocked both physically and mentally. Some silver lines suddenly appeared on his back. The lines covered half of his back, forming a mysterious picture of a silver dragon hovering around. Red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, black, gold. These were the 9 colors of the bloodline mark, representing the 9 ranks. Red was the first rank, gold was the 9th rank, and his was silver. Also, bloodline marks were all on the neck. This was common knowledge of the northern desert. Whether a warrior was a bloodline warrior or not depended on whether there was a bloodline mark on the neck. Therefore, Lu Li turned around and asked with doubt, "Sis, have I awakened my bloodline or not? What the hell is this thing?" Lu Ling was confused as well. She thought about it and said, "Whether you have awakened your bloodline or not depends on whether you can use your bloodline skill. Let's see." Lu Li closed his eyes and went stealthily to study the bloodline skill in his head. After waiting for an hour, he shouted, "Burning blood, buzzing." The silver dragon mark on Lu Li's back suddenly glowed brightly. A surge of powerful qi and energy spread out from Lu Li's body. Then his muscles swelled up at a speed visible to the naked eye. His eyes turned silver. Chapter 44. Sister. Lu Li opened his mouth and said in a hoarse voice. He was excited and said, I feel like I have endless power. My strength has increased by more than 3 times. More than 3 times? Heavens! Lu Ling collapsed to the ground. Her eyes were filled with ecstasy. She did not know exactly what kind of bloodline Lu Li had awakened, but she was sure that the bloodline Lu Li had awakened was not much weaker than the King Kong bloodline of the Lu family. Lu Renhuang left behind many rare books. One of them had a detailed explanation of bloodlines. Lu Ling knew something about bloodlines. It was said that all human beings had the bloodline of the ancient divine race. Everyone had a chance to awaken their bloodline through the bloodline altar, obtain bloodline skills, and become a powerful bloodline warrior. There were many types of bloodlines. Some were strong, some were weak, and there were all kinds of types. For example, they could increase strength, speed, defense, or have special abilities and divine abilities. The Vajra bloodline of the Lu clan was known as the strongest defensive bloodline in the Central Plains. It possessed the divine armor divine skill. After releasing the divine armor, an impenetrable divine armor condensed outside his body. Normal attacks were unable to break through the divine armor and harm the physical bodies of the Lu clan's disciples. Another example was the fire bloodline skill possessed by the Lu family patriarch. After he released the fire, he could easily burn his enemies to death and burn them into ashes. Because of this bloodline skill, the family patriarch of the Lu family dominated the Wuling County. The stronger the bloodline, the more powerful the bloodline divine skill. The bloodline divine skill of a low-level bloodline would be much weaker. Even a first or second rank bloodline might not have a bloodline divine skill. According to the ancient book left by Lu Renhuang, Lu Ling knew several bloodline skills. For example, the third-rank bloodline skill, Gale, could increase the warrior's speed by 50% after the bloodline skill was released. After releasing the third-grade bloodline divine skill, Steel Fist, his fist strength would increase by 60%. Even the bloodline skill of the 5th rank, Berserk Power, could only amplify strength by 2 times at most. Lu Li's strength was amplified by 3 times, which meant that his bloodline was at least of the 6th rank or above. Grade 6. It's very likely to be grade 7 or even grade 8. Lu Ling's eyes glowed. At first, she thought that Lu Li had not awakened his bloodline, and she could not see any hope of saving her parents. She almost lost all hope. But now, she was alive again. With bloodline of the 6th or 7th rank. As long as Luli did not die prematurely, he was destined to become a powerful warrior. It would be easy for him to join a 5th rank royal family and become a guest warrior. When the time comes, he could take the teleportation formation to the Middle Plains and easily return to the Lu family to ask the experts of the family to save his parents. While Lu Ling was pondering, Lu Li suddenly put on an expression of discomfort. Then his chi and energy weakened and his bulging muscles retracted. His face was pale and awful. He couldn't even open his eyes. He waved his hand and said, "Sister, I'm so tired. I want to sleep for a while." With that said, Lu Li climbed in a bed and fell into a deep sleep. He didn't even have time to cover himself with the blanket. Lu Ling hurried over to have a look. She was relieved to make sure that there was nothing wrong with Lu Li except that he seemed to be overworked. It seems like there's a period of weakness after using this bloodline god skill. Little brother's strength and physical body are too weak to completely withstand the bloodline god skill. Blood ignition? This bloodline divine skill can't be burning blood, right? Lu Ling murmured. She was surprised to see Lu Li's pale face. If blood was to be burned, the bloodline god skill could not be used too often. Otherwise, it could backfire on the body. Lu Ling couldn't get anything out of Lu Li while he was asleep. She observed for a while and went outside to prepare some good food for the chief steward. Lu Li was so weak that he needed some nourishment. Lu Li slept for more than 2 hours before he woke up. He looked much better, but he was a bit tired. His eyes had returned to their normal black color. Everything else was fine. After Lu Li wolfed down the food, Lu Ling asked, "Lu Li, does your bloodline god skill require you to burn your blood?" "I think so." Lu Li sensed it and nodded. "When I released the burning blood skill, I felt the blood in my body was boiling. I only lasted for the time for half an incense stick to burn before I felt so weak that I couldn't even open my eyes." "Then don't release the bloodline god skill unless necessary," Lu Ling solemnly said. "You have to cultivate well. When your realm catches up and your physical body is stronger, you will feel better." "Sister," Lu Li asked with excitement, "I have awakened my bloodline, right?" "Yes," Lu Ling said with certainty. "You have awakened your bloodline, and it is at least of the 6th rank or above. As long as you cultivate hard, you can easily join a 5th rank royal family and become a guest warrior in a few years." "Okay." Lu Li clenched his fists and nodded. "Sister, I will work hard. I will be able to join the guest clan of a 5th rank royal family. Then I will teleport to the Lu family at the Central Plains and rescue my parents." The 3 5th rank royal families were the most powerful families of the Northern Desert, standing at the top of the Northern Desert. It was extremely difficult to join the 3 families, not to mention the guest clan. If Lu Li didn't awaken his bloodline, he wouldn't even have the chance to go to the cities where the 3 royal families were. Now there was hope and a great chance. "Brother," Lu Ling thought about it and said, "Don't tell anyone about the awakening of your bloodline. Also, don't release the bloodline god skill unless it's a critical moment. Wait until you have enough power and opportunity. Also, don't tell anyone about our father's name. I am afraid that he has enemies at the Northern Desert." Lu Li thought about it. What Lu Ling said made sense. The way he awakened his bloodline was strange. The bloodline mark was not on his neck, but on his back. He had never heard of such a strange thing. What if the Divine Temple caught him and used him for research? Also, the Zhao family was powerful now. It seemed to be suppressing the Lu family. If the fact that he had awakened his bloodline was known, Diba would instigate the Zhao family to kill him at all costs. Lu Li's bloodline god skill could only last for the time for half an incense stick to burn. Once he used it, he would become extremely weak. Now was not the time to expose his bloodline god skill. Lu Ling said that when Lu Li was born, his father was fighting against powerful warriors. Warriors that could fight against his father must have powerful backgrounds. If their identities were exposed, the siblings would be in big trouble. Crack! Crack! A strange sound came from the corner of the room. Lu Li and Lu Ling looked over and found that Little White had woken up again and was gnawing on the abandoned Shen artifact. Seeing Lu Li looking at it, Little White beamed with joy. Its short tail kept wagging. This little thing's appetite is getting bigger and bigger. I only see it eating. I don't see it pooping. Luli touched his nose and frowned. On average, the little beast would eat 2 abandoned Xian artifacts a day. At this rate, the abandoned Xian artifacts that Luli had exchanged for 500 contribution points would not be enough for it to eat for half a month. By then, when all his contribution points were used up, where could he get more abandoned Xian artifacts for it to eat? Work hard on your cultivation first. Lu Ling could tell that Luli was worried. She comforted him. We will cross the bridge when we come to it. Let's talk about it later. When you are powerful enough, nothing will be a problem. Luli nodded. He sat on the bed with his legs crossed and continued to cultivate his Xian energy. He had to break through to the later stage of the Xianwu realm first. What kind of bloodline is this? Lu Ling sat quietly on the side, thinking about the ferocious silver dragon on Lu Li's back. She thought for a while and looked to the north. She murmured in confusion, "Father, you put the animal tooth pendant on my brother when he was born. Do you know the origin of the animal tooth pendant and that my brother would awaken the silver dragon bloodline?" He didn't awaken the King Kong bloodline of our family, but he did awaken such a strange bloodline. Is this a blessing or a curse? P.S. Please collect it, recommend it, advertise it. If you can give some tips. My new book needs to be protected. Please help me. Chapter 45. For the next couple of days, Luli cultivated in the guest clan. Apart from reading, Lu Ling was chatting with Cheng Chu's wife, the guest clan patriarch. Cheng Chu's wife was infertile. Lu Ling was well-behaved and sensible. Both Cheng Chu and his wife liked her very much. Luli was happy to find that Lu Ling and Cheng Chu's wife were on good terms. He cultivated all day long, and Lu Ling was lonely. It was good to have someone to talk to. The Wuling County had been particularly quiet recently. The Zhao family had awakened a bloodline of the 5th rank. The Zhao family had been keeping a low profile these days. Disciples of the Zhao family were not allowed to go out, not to mention having conflicts with the Lu family. There was still no news from the frigid Cloud Mountain. It was said that the battle between the super families and the Beast King had reached the most critical moment. Perhaps they would be able to kill the Beast King soon. Perhaps the super families were forcefully suppressing the Lu family and did not want to cause more trouble. Chief Patriarch didn't send any message, so the Lu family didn't send any warriors to reinforce the frigid Cloud Mountain. The fact that the Lu family had awakened a 4th-rank bloodline was something to be happy about. They were probably thinking of ways to nurture that child. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Luli came out from his closed-door cultivation, but it was not because he had reached the peak of the Xianwu realm. In half a month, he had only opened up 2.5 energy channels, and there was 1.5 energy channel yet to be opened up. He came out because Little White ran out of food. The little white critter's appetite was too big. It had already eaten all the abandoned profound artifacts, so it was probably starving to the point of panicking. Thus, it began to covet the heavenly Kylan blade again. If it were not for the fact that Lu Ling had noticed, the Heaven Kylan sword would have been bitten off. Looking at Little White's pitiful eyes, Luli clenched his teeth and exchanged the remaining 300 contribution points for abandoned Xian artifacts. Then he brought back more than a dozen abandoned Xian artifacts. The more than a dozen abandoned Xian artifacts would only be enough for Little White to eat for 7 or 8 days. Luli thought about it and found Cheng Chu. He asked, "Patriarch Cheng, how do I earn contribution points?" There were many abandoned Xian artifacts in the Hall of Weapons, enough for Little White to eat for more than half a year. The problem was that they all needed contribution points, so Luli had to beg. Contribution points are very simple. Cheng Chu explained, every clan has a mission hall. You can accept missions, and the clan will naturally give you contribution points after you complete them. For example, you could go to the watchtower and stand guard. You'll get 2 contribution points a day. 2. Luli rolled his eyes. Even if he stood guard for a few days, he wouldn't be able to feed Little White once. He thanked Chung Chu and went to the Hall of Mission in the middle courtyard of the Liu family. Although Little White's food was enough for 7 to 8 days, he had a plan ahead. Otherwise, the Heaven Kylan sword would be eaten by Little White sooner or later. The mission hall was also overseen by a gray-haired old man. His combat strength was not strong, but his seniority was probably quite high. Seeing that Lu Li was a guest warrior of the guest clan, he didn't even smile. He squinted at Lu Li and asked, "What mission do you want to take?" Lu Li cupped his fists and politely said, "Lord, are there any quests in the city with high contribution points?" The gray-haired old man grunted coldly and said, "Do you think contribution points could be obtained for free? If he didn't work hard, how could he get so many contribution points? Right now, the mission with the highest contribution points in the city is to monitor the Zhao family. If you get any useful information, you'll get 100 contribution points. If there's no information, you'll get 2 contribution points per day." 2 a day? Lu Li rubbed his nose. How was he supposed to get any useful information? Unless he sneaked into the Zhao family's mansion to investigate. But once he did, he would probably be instantly surrounded and killed. Unwilling to give up, he asked, "Sir, are there no other missions?" "Yes." The gray-haired old man threw the mission file to Lu Li and said, "The missions in here, as long as you can complete them, will be worth more than 1,000 contribution points. Do you have the guts to take them?" Lu Li took it over, and his expressions changed. The missions here did have high contribution points, but could they be completed by humans? Dig out earth jade crystals at the edge of the ice abyss, 10,000 contribution points. Get the bone-burying mountain at the north of the ice abyss. Venom of 4th rank, Xian beast, silver-striped snake, 10,000 contribution points. Get Heaven Fire Lotus at the Heaven Fire Mountain, 3,000 contribution points per plant. The more Lu Li read, the more speechless he was. What the hell were these missions? Not even the chief patriarch of the Liu family dared to get close to the edge of the ice abyss, let alone the chief patriarch of the Liu family. That was the sphere of influence of the Beast King. 4th rank Xian beast silver-striped snake was comparable to a human warrior of the Fate Wheel realm. What was the difference between getting its venom and committing suicide? The Heaven Fire Mountain was a volcano. It erupted all year round. Anyone who touched the boiling lava would die. Also, Lu Li's power could not go up. Once he got close, the horrifying heat would burn him into ashes. Lu Li read on patiently, trying to find a relatively safe mission with enough contribution points. However, after reading for a long time, he realized that none of the missions were ones that he could complete. If he were to take one based on his power, he would die for sure. This mission seems good. Lu Li's eyes suddenly lit up as he found a good one. Go to the Redstone Mountain and steal the eggs of the red phosphorus hawks. 500 contribution points per egg. Red phosphorus hawks. Lu Li once fought with Lu Yi and the others. The red phosphorus hawks were not that powerful. However, they were social animals. If Lu Li went to their nest to steal eggs, he would be hunted down by a large group of red phosphorus hawks. Also, the Redstone Mountain was the gathering place of stone rats. It was said that stone rats and red phosphorus hawks liked to fight against enemies together. By then, there would be Xian beasts everywhere, and he would be bitten to death alive. Lu Li had heard about the Redstone Mountain. It was 300 miles to the north of the frigid Cloud Valley. There was still a long way to go to the Ice Abyss. Theoretically speaking, there should be powerful warriors of different families guarding nearby. There shouldn't be any powerful Xian beasts. Lu Li was in a dilemma. It was dangerous to go to the Redstone Mountain. On the off chance that he ran into Ba, he would be hunted to death. The problem was that if he didn't accept missions, he wouldn't have any contribution points. How was he going to feed Little White? Little White was obviously a high-level Xian beast, and it was very obedient. Now that it was wholeheartedly following him, it would be a great help to him in the future. Why are you scared? Seeing Lu Li holding the file in his hands, the gray-haired old man sneered and said, "You young people, biting off more than you can chew. You don't have a diamond, yet you want to do porcelain work? Get lost, don't waste my time." Lu Li was a little angry when he heard this. He gritted his teeth and said, "I'll take this quest." The gray-haired old man was surprised. His eyes flickered as he asked, "Are you sure? Once you accept this mission, you must complete it. If you give up, you'll lose 100 contribution points. Are you sure about that?" "I've thought it through," Luli forced himself to say. "All right." The gray-haired old man asked for Lu Li's ID token and recorded it down. After that, he took out a map for Lu Li and said, "This is the map to the Redstone Mountain. You must complete the task within a month. Go, I hope you can come back alive." Lu Li left with the map. He went back to the guest clan and told Lu Ling about it. At first, he thought that Lu Ling would blame him, but to his surprise, Lu Ling nodded and said, "It's good to go out. All warriors have to fight constantly. Only by experiencing life and death can they become powerful. The moment you choose to become a warrior, you must be prepared for death." These words were left by my father. What I want to tell you is, don't just rely on brute force in a fight. You must use your brain. Also, don't give up so easily. Even if you know you're going to die, don't give up. If you die, I won't let you go alone. I will go with you to the underworld realm. Sister, Lu Li's eyes reddened. He grabbed Lu Ling's hands and started sobbing. At this moment, he bore Lu Ling's words in his mind, especially that he should not give up so easily under any circumstances. Chapter 46. Now that they had decided to go out, Lu Li began to make preparations. He and Lu Ling analyzed and concluded that it would not be too dangerous if they could hide themselves. The key was that they could not let the Zhao family know that he had left the county, and they could not be seen by outsiders on the way to the Redstone Mountain. Lu Li and Lu Ling studied the map carefully and decided to go out from the east gate and take a detour to the Redstone Mountain. The Redstone Mountain was to the southeast of the Ice Abyss. People of the Wuling County would usually take the official road closest to the North Gate to go to the Ice Abyss. It would be less likely for them to run into scouts and warriors of other families if they went from the east. There was a beast upheaval at the Ice Abyss, and the red phosphorus hawks were flying around. There should not be too many red phosphorus hawks in the Redstone Mountain, and many stone rats must have run away. Last time, Lu Li and Lu Yi ran into stone rats in the cave, so there might not be many Xian beasts left in the Redstone Mountain. Not many people knew Lu Li. If Lu Li could sneak into the Redstone Mountain in disguise, steal some eggs of the red phosphorus hawks, and take a detour back, he might not run into any danger. Lu Ling began to prepare Lu Li's luggage after everything was settled. Lu Li once again went into closed-door cultivation. He was ready to set off after he completely opened up his 11th energy channel and became more powerful. 3 days later, Lu Li came out from his closed-door cultivation in the afternoon. He had been working day and night for the past 3 days. Finally, he had opened up his 11th energy channel. Lu Ling prepared dried meat, water, and a small tent for Lu Li. Lu Li did not leave right away. Instead, he waited until it was completely dark before he put on his luggage, put on a bamboo hat that covered most of his face, and left the Lu family quietly with Little White. He took a detour to the east gate. He was very careful on his way. He turned left and right to make sure that nobody was following him. Then he went directly to the east gate. Even though his behavior was a bit strange, he had the token of the Lu family on him, so he could get out of the county easily. He had underestimated the scouts of the Zhao family. As soon as he got out of the county gate, 2 warriors in civilian clothes came out from an alley in the corner. These 2 people were obviously from the Zhao clan. The 2 of them glanced at the east city gate, then disappeared into the alley. Lu Li did not join the external clan of the Lu family, so he did not have much contact with other warriors. He did not know the abilities of the top scouts of the families. What he didn't know was that the Lu family and the Zhao family had planted spies in each other's families. Except for the most important secrets, the 2 families knew everything about each other. However, Lu Li had picked a good time. It was late at night. When the scouts reported back to Zhao Rui, the number 1 young master of the Zhao family, Zhao Rui was having a banquet in the biggest brothel in the city. How could he be in a mood to go after Lu Li? Of course, he valued Diba and Dihua very much. After Di Hua joined the Zhao family, he received resources and was about to break through to the Spirit Sea realm. He would be a great help to the Zhao family. He thought about it, and then asked someone to follow Lu Li out of the city. Tomorrow morning, they would go after Lu Li. He also sent a message to the family scouts at the Frigid Cloud Mountain to pay attention to Lu Li's whereabouts. As far as Zhao Rui was concerned, Lu Li had left the county alone. No matter where Lu Li went, he was destined to die without a burial place. He was the young master of the Zhao family. If he couldn't even kill a nobody like Lu Li, then he wouldn't be able to hang around in the Wuling County anymore. At this moment, Dihua was right next to Zhao Rui. After he heard Zhao Rui's arrangement, Dihua beamed with joy. He rubbed his palms together, eager to leave the county with Zhao Rui early in the morning to cut Lu Li into pieces. Valpu, on the official road to the east of the county, Lu Li was running fast by himself. He was so close to the city, so it was easy for him to run into warriors of different families. He thought the further away he was from the city, the safer he would be. However, he was overthinking. The beast upheaval had not been completely pacified yet. Nobody was walking outside the county at night. Lu Li ran wildly in the cold wind by himself. He didn't run into anyone for 6 hours. It's about time. Let me find a place to sleep. It was late at night, and the weather was getting colder. Lu Li turned into a small path in the darkness and found a cave. He took out a tattered tent from the bag on his back, wrapped himself in a tattered quilt, and fell asleep. When Lu Li was little, he often went up the mountain by himself. He often spent the night outside, so he had a good sleep. He slept all the way until dawn. He got up and washed himself with some water. Then he grabbed some dried meat and started to chew on it while running. Someone is here. In the county, it was crowded and noisy, so Lu Li couldn't find any scouts following him. However, in the wild, he had a keen sense of smell like a beast. He vaguely felt that something was not right behind him. He looked back but saw nothing. Walking in the mountains all year round, Lu Li was often ambushed by beasts. His intuition was very accurate. He was sure that someone was following him. After some thoughts, Lu Li continued to move forward quietly. After a couple of miles, there was a stone peak in front of him. Lu Li quickly turned into the stone peak and pressed himself against the stone wall. He held his breath and held the Heaven Kylan sword in one hand, ready to take action at any moment. Sure enough, after a moment, there came 2 light footsteps. They stopped when they were about to pass the stone peak. After the time for more than a dozen breaths, 2 figures quietly came out. "Boy!" Lu Li shouted like thunder on a sunny day. He swung his Heaven Kylan sword and aimed at the head of the first warrior. The young warrior's expression changed in fear. Lu Li's sword was so fast that there was no way for him to dodge. He could only shout, "Don't kill me!" Bang! Lu Li slightly twisted his sword and hit the man's head with the back of the sword. He held back some of his strength. Even so, the man's head was still cracked, and he was bleeding. Swish! Lu Li paid no attention to the first warrior. He raised his Heaven Kylan sword, turned around, and cut at the second warrior. That warrior came to his senses and unsheathed his sword to defend against Lu Li's attack. How strong was Lu Li now? After he consumed the blood refinement pellet, his physical strength had reached more than 13,000 pounds. If he added his Xian energy, it would be at least 37,000 or 38,000 pounds. How could this man defend against such a huge force? Clank, with a muffled sound and some sparks, the man's sword was smashed away. Lu Li's saber went straight in and broke the man's shoulder and collarbone. Lu Li swept his thigh and sent the man flying. Since Lu Li did not know the identity of the 2 warriors, he did not kill them. He walked over in strides with a blood-stained Heaven Kylan sword in his hand. He pressed the broken sword against the second warrior's neck and asked coldly, "Who are you? Why are you following me?" The 2 warriors were not wearing armors of the Zhao family, just regular warrior robes. One of them was bleeding, holding his head and howling in pain. The other one clenched his teeth and pressed his shoulder with one hand. He glared at Lu Li, but said nothing. Lu Li snorted. He lifted his leg and stomped on the man's chest. Luli's stomp was so powerful that more than a dozen ribs of the man's chest must have been broken. Blood spilled out from the corner of his mouth, and his face was twisted because of the pain. Luli asked again, "I will give you one last chance. If you don't tell me, die." Luli could tell something from their eyes. They were definitely not here with good intentions. Since they were enemies, he would not show them any mercy. "Bastard!" The young warrior who had stepped on grimaced in pain and shouted, "How dare you hurt us? Our young master will be here soon. By then, he will cut you into pieces." Young master? Luli was confused. When did he offend a young master of a big family? Luli thought about it and moved his leg away. He asked with fear, "Who is your young master? We have no quarrel. Why do you want to kill me?" Seeing that Luli was scared, the man said with hatred, "Our young master is Zhao Rue, the #1 young master of the Zhao family. Let's go now. Or else, when our young master comes, you will die without a burial place." Zhao Rue. Luli suddenly understood. They were from the Zhao family. Diba was the patriarch of the external clan of the Zhao family. It was highly possible that Diba had asked the Zhao family to help him get revenge. The Zhao family had sent someone to follow him, and the young master of the Zhao family would be here soon. It seemed that the Zhao family had found out that Luli had left the county and wanted to kill him outside the county. Bastard! Seeing that Luli's eyes were flickering, the man climbed up with difficulty and coldly said, "Surrender now and come with me to see our young master. Otherwise, you will die." Whoosh! Chapter 47. Even though Luli still looked awful after this killing, he no longer had the urge to vomit. Looking at the two cold bodies, Luli soon calmed down. He did not feel guilty at all about killing the two scouts of the Zhao family. The Zhao family wanted to kill him and sent someone to follow him, so the Zhao family was his enemy. Since they were his enemies, he should not show any mercy. A man should kill without mercy. This was what Lu Ling taught him. Luli had always regarded Lu Ling's words as the truth. He thought about it and put the Heaven Kylan sword on his back. He carried the two bodies with both hands and walked into the mountain. He threw the bodies into a pile of rocks. There were many wild beasts in the wild. The smell of blood from the bodies would attract wild beasts. Soon, the corpses would be eaten up. Go! Luli wiped off the blood on his hands and body in a small pond and ran away at once. He did not go back to the county. That would be courting death. Maybe Zhao Rue had already left the county with his men and was running towards him. He would be stopped before he could get into the city. Luli had heard of Zhao Rue. Not many people in the Wuling County hadn't heard of him. Zhao Rue was the #1 genius of the Zhao family. He had reached the Spirit Sea realm at the age of 21. How could the Zhao family not send some warriors of the Spirit Sea realm to protect him? Therefore, his enemies would be 2 or even more than 2 warriors in the Spirit Sea realm. Not only did he possess terrifying strength, but he also had a bloodline divine skill. However, the Spirit Sea realm was still the Spirit Sea realm. The difference between the realms was like heaven and earth. Luli was not stupid. He was not so arrogant that he would look down on heroes in the world. He knew that if he was caught up, there was a 90% chance that he would be killed. He had to run. The faster and further he ran, the greater his chance of survival would be. Wait a minute. Luli suddenly realized something after he ran for a couple of miles. How could he outrun horses on the road? The Lu family had silver wolf escorts. The mount of the #1 young master of the Zhao family might also be Xian beasts. If he kept running like this, he would be caught up with sooner or later. Up the mountain, Luli decisively ran towards the north in a straight line. Even though the mountain was difficult to walk on, it would be harder for Zhao Rue and the others to ride on horses and Xian beasts. As long as he entered the mountains and arrived at the frigid Cloud Mountain, the terrain there was complicated and there were warriors from various clans there. It was very likely that he would be able to escape the pursuit. After thinking for a while, he caught a wolf nearby and tore a piece of cloth from his robe. Then he used the Heavenly Kylan sword to cut his finger and dyed the cloth with blood before tying it to the wolf's body. The scouts of large clans were so powerful that he didn't even notice anyone following him last night. He had no choice but to be careful and set up a diversion, hoping that it would have some effect. He chased the jackals in another direction and ran for his life. He climbed the mountain ridges and soon disappeared into the mountains. Luli was right. In just over 2 hours, a team of cavalrymen galloped over from the west. They followed the marks left by the scouts of the Zhao family to where Lu Li and the scouts fought. Zhao Rui was riding a huge purple lion, clad in cyan armor, holding a black iron longbow and carrying a silver sword on his back. He looked majestic and insufferably arrogant. Dihu was right beside him. There was a middle-aged man with a scar on his face. His breath was strong, and his eyes were as cold as a poisonous snake. Obviously, he was a warrior at the Spirit Sea realm. There is blood. There were more than a dozen people with them. One of them shouted from afar. They stopped. 2 warriors of the Zhao family got off their horses to check. Soon they reported back, "Young Master Rui, our men might have been killed. Where are the bodies? Go and find them." Zhao Rui flew into a rage. He waved his hand, and the more than a dozen warriors got off their horses to search around. In just a short while, they found the bodies of the 2 scouts. Young Master Rui, they were smashed to death. One of them had all his ribs broken. The warriors of the Zhao family reported after checking. Dihua thought of something and cupped his fists in front of his chest. Young Master Rui, they must have been killed by Lu Li. This man was born with great strength. His physical body alone has more than 11,000 pounds of strength. Also, he doesn't know any Xian skill. He likes to hack and slash. Lu Li, Zhao Rui was filled with killing intent. The 2 warriors were here to track down Lu Li. In the Wuling County, no other families dared to kill warriors of the Zhao family apart from the Lu family. Zhao Rui immediately concluded that the scouts were killed by Lu Li. He clenched his teeth and shouted in a deep voice, "Spread out and search for traces. Once you find the target, send a signal at once." "Yes, young master." Apart from the middle-aged man with a scar who stayed behind, the rest of the warriors split up in pairs and fanned out to search. Zhao Rui brought the scarred man with him and waited for the news to be reported. 2 hours later, everyone gathered together. One of them carried the jackal that Lu Li had driven away. Some of them found that there were no footprints on the road ahead. Some of them found out where Lu Li really ran to. After all, there was still snow on the road, so footprints could be found. After some discussion, they soon determined Lu Li's escape route. For the first time, the scar man said, "That guy is pretty smart. He should be running towards the frigid cloud mountain to find someone from the Lu family to escape." Uncle Scar is right. The reason why Zhao Rui could become the #1 genius of the Zhao family and his status was much higher than the other young masters of the Zhao family was not only because of his abnormal talent, but also because of his intelligence. He nodded in agreement and said, "If so, let's split up and go after him. Dihua, take 10 men with you and chase after Lu Li's footprints. Uncle Scar and I will wait at the foot of the frigid cloud mountain." Lu Li ran away from the inside of the mountain. There was almost no road there. How could a spoiled Zhao Rui abandon his horse to climb mountains and wade through rivers? The scarred man was Zhao Rui's bodyguard, so he could not leave Zhao Rui's side. This matter was caused by Dihua. Naturally, Dihua would not shirk his duty. He promised to do his best. He left the horse behind and took 10 men with him to chase after Lu Li. "Uncle Scar, let's go. We will wait up ahead." Zhao Rui nodded to the scarred man and rushed away with the scarred man and the rest of the men. "Hurry up, brothers, hurry up. After we kill Lu Li, I will treat you to the best brothel in the county for 3 days." In the mountain, Dihua kept urging. The incident at the Frigid Cloud Valley was actually led by Di Ba, but he failed to kill Lu Li. Instead, the Zhao family was reprimanded by several big families. Because of this, Di Ba was scolded by the family patriarch of the Zhao family, which made Di Ba very angry. Last time when he came back, he specifically told Dihua about it. If Dihua could kill Lu Li this time, not only could he avenge the deaths of the people in the tribe, but he could also make the Zhao family value him and his son. Therefore, Dihua was working extra hard. His roar made the other 10 men excited. How could they go to the best brothel to have fun on usual days? Diha was about to reach the spirit sea realm. On top of that, Deba was the patriarch of the external clan. In the future, Deba would have a good life in the Zhao family. Everyone was happy to help. At once, the group of men ran like crazy, chasing after Lu Li's footprints. This time, all the warriors brought by Zhao Rui were at the peak of the Xianwu realm. They were as fast as the wind. It was not a problem for them to go over mountains and hills. There is someone over there. After running for only 2 hours, a warrior suddenly pointed to a huge mountain in the distance and said. Everyone looked over, and sure enough, they saw a small black duck climbing up the huge ridge. There can't be anyone else in the wilderness. It must be Lu Li. Diwa was excited. Even though the huge mountain was far away and the path was difficult, it would take them at least more than an hour to get there. But now that they had found Lu Li, how could Lu Li get away with so many of them? Go, go. Chapter 48. They're so fast. Lu Li felt something was wrong. He looked back and saw 11 black dots jumping and running in the mountains. Lu Li's expression turned awful. Clearly, these people had used all their Xian energy to jump so high. They were not afraid of consuming Xian energy. Lu Li, on the other hand, did not use his Xian energy. He only relied on his physical strength to climb and jump. His speed was slower than theirs. At this rate, he would be caught up with. Boy, Lu Li was afraid that Zhao Rui and the others were right behind him. He dared not to conserve his strength anymore. He mobilized his Xian energy to his legs. He kicked the ground and jumped more than 30 feet high. Like an agile monkey, he grabbed onto a boulder and flipped onto it. Then he jumped another more than 30 feet high. In the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Lu Li had climbed to the peak. He looked back and saw 11 black dots approaching him at a fast speed. Lu Li dared not to stop and rush forward. There was a cliff in front of him, and there were sharp stones and peaks everywhere. There was no way out. Usually, if someone wanted to go down, he would have to tie himself up with ropes and climb slowly. Otherwise, he would fall to his death. Boy, Lu Li was bold because of his skill. He directly jumped down in big strides. He aimed at a boulder and jumped down. He rolled on the boulder to reduce the momentum, and then leaped to another boulder. Jumping from side to side, Lu Li successfully got down the mountain like an agile monkey. In front of him was a dense forest with no end. Lu Li was secretly delighted. It would be more difficult to track him down in the forest. He could not see the situation in the forest from above. Also, there was no snow in the forest, so there would be no obvious footprints. Lu Li rushed into the forest like a gust of wind. The beasts inside were startled. Many of them roared and rushed towards him. Get lost! Lu Li roared in anger. He had no time to fight with these low-level beasts. Unfortunately, the beasts had no intelligence and were not afraid of him. Lu Li chopped at a huge tiger with his Heaven Kylan sword and smashed its head into mush. Roar, roar! More beasts in the distance were alarmed. The beasts nearby did not retreat at all. Lu Li was getting more and more annoyed. He had to wave his Heaven Kylan sword left and right, wounding and killing the beasts one by one. Squeak, squeak! At this moment, a strange cry came from the sack on his back. Little White had actually woken up. It shouted and hopped onto Lu Li's shoulder. A surge of ferocious chi and energy spread out. Then, something strange happened. The moment Whitey released its aura, the nearby wild beasts all knelt down in fear. They were so scared that their legs turned to jelly and their bodies trembled. Ah! Lu Li was overjoyed. He quickly said to Little White, Little White, tell them to back off and run to all directions. Squeak, squeak! Little White seemed to have understood Lu Li's words. It cried out again. The beasts immediately ran away in all directions as if they had been granted amnesty. Little White is so powerful. Lu Li gave Little White a thumbs up. Little White's eyes turned into crescent moons, and its short tail kept wagging. Lu Li had no time to waste. He shouted, Little White, go back to the jute bag. I have to run. Someone is after me. Little White didn't go back. Maybe it had slept for too long, or maybe it had eaten so many Xian artifacts that it had gained enough nutrition. Little White flew forward in a white blur. In the blink of an eye, it had landed on a tree more than 30 feet away. It stood on the tree trunk and wagged its tail at Luli so fast. Luli was secretly surprised. It seemed that Little White's speed had increased. After eating so many Xian artifacts, its size didn't change, but its speed did. Luli ran on quickly. Little White waited for Luli to catch up and then jumped on again. Its speed was so fast that it stood on a small tree more than 30 feet away, waiting for Luli. Turn, don't go, in a straight line. Luli made a turn after running for a while. Little White caught up with him easily. No matter how fast Luli was, Little White could catch up with him easily. Also, Little White would circle around Luli from time to time, as if it was playing with him. Luli had no time to play with Little White. He had to hurry on with his journey. They often ran into wild beasts along the way, including 2 Xian beasts of the first rank. But with Little White here, it was not a problem. When the 2 Xian beasts of the first rank saw Little White, they got down on their knees in fear. Little White shouted at them, and they ran away in fright. What kind of Xian beast is Little White? Luli was shocked again. He felt that Little White was like the king of beasts in the mountains. The chi and energy of Little White were not that horrifying, but Xian beasts and other wild beasts would be so scared that their legs would turn to jelly. In the future, I can take Little White with me to hunt Xian beasts. It will be so easy. Luli was secretly excited. Then he remembered that he was going to the Redstone Mountain. If all the Xian beasts in the Redstone Mountain were the first rank, and Little White could suppress them easily, then wouldn't it be as easy for him to steal the eggs of the red phosphorus hawks? Thinking of this, Luli was so excited that he almost did a somersault on the open ground. Wild beasts were running in all directions in the forest. It was really hard for people to catch up with him. Luli ran for 4 hours, but he didn't see anyone catching up with him. Little White got tired of playing, so it crawled back into Luli's jute bag. There were several Xian breaking artifacts in the jute bag, which Luli had prepared for Little White. After Little White ate them, it soon fell asleep. After running for another 2 hours, Luli walked out of the forest. In front of him was a vast expanse of wilderness. The view was very wide. Luli secretly felt a headache coming on. There was no place to hide in this wilderness. There was also snow on the ground. It would be easy for people to track him down. The thing was, if he wanted to go to the frigid cloud mountain, he had to go towards the north. The wilderness was boundless. No matter which direction he went, people would be able to track him down. Let's go. After eating some dried meat and drinking some water, Luli ran on in a straight line. Obviously, there were masters of tracking among the 11 people. Otherwise, they wouldn't have caught up so quickly. Since there was no way to get rid of them, Luli had to get to the frigid cloud mountain as fast as he could. It seemed that Dihua and the others had taken a long detour in the forest, and they had to get rid of Xian beasts. They must have wasted a lot of time. Luli ran for an entire afternoon, but he didn't find any pursuers even when it was dark. He was still running in the wilderness. It was getting dark. Luli was a bit anxious because he couldn't find a place to spend the night along the way. To spend the night in the wilderness in a world of ice and snow, not to mention being bitten to death by wild beasts, he would be frozen into an ice sculpture if it snowed in the middle of the night. After running for another hour, it was completely dark. Finally, Luli found a place to spend the night. A small mountain appeared in front of him. Countless mountains rose and fell continuously, with no end in sight. There must be caves in these mountains. Even if there were none, it would be easy for him to dig one. However, before Luli entered the mountain, he already felt the chi and energy of Xian beasts, and there were quite a few of them. It was a dim night. Luli could vaguely see that the ground of the mountain in front of him was moving. When he saw it clearly, he gasped. Countless black snakes whizzed towards him. Each of them was as thick as a person's wrist. Their fangs reflected a dim light. Clearly, they were highly poisonous. The most important thing was the number of poisonous snakes. At a glance, there were at least hundreds of them. If he didn't go into the mountain, he wouldn't have a place to spend the night. If he wanted to go into the mountain, he would have to fight his way out and kill all the poisonous snakes. In the middle of the night, he might be attacked by poisonous snakes. Oh, how could I forget about Little White? Chapter 49. Swish, a white shadow came out. Little White jumped onto Lu Li's shoulder. It looked around and immediately shouted. The hundreds of poisonous snakes in front of them were so scared that they curled up and dared not to take another step forward. Luli gave it another thumbs up. He was about to ask Little White to disperse the snakes when he thought of something. Since Little White could suppress and disperse low-rank Xian beasts, could it control them? Luli said to Little White, can you control these black snakes? Can you let them stay nearby and guard? The people of the Zhao clan might chase after him overnight. If he was attacked while he was sleeping soundly, he wouldn't even know how he died. If there was a group of poisonous snakes guarding here, he would be able to sleep soundly without any worries. Whitey's black gem-like eyes turned, and it actually nodded its head like a human and let out a few loud cries. The black snakes suddenly retreated to the sides and made way for Lu Li, but they didn't retreat. Squeak, squeak, Little White raised its head high, like a child that had done something good and was waiting for praise. Luli was overjoyed. It seemed that Little White really could control Xian beasts of the first rank. The intelligence of this little beast was incredible. Luli walked towards the snake step by step. Those black poisonous snakes didn't dare to move. After Luli went in, they automatically blocked the way again and stayed where they were, not daring to leave. Luli walked forward slowly. After a while, he was sure that the black poisonous snakes didn't leave. He became even more excited. He put Little White down from his shoulder and patted its head happily. He exclaimed sincerely, Little White, you are so awesome. If there is a chance in the future, I will find the most delicious food in the world for you. Squeak, squeak. On hearing this, Little White's eyes lit up. It stuck out its pink tongue and kissed Lu Li's palm, try to flatter him. Little White didn't look like a powerful Xian beast at all. It was more like a domestic dog, waiting to be fed. Squeak, squeak. More groups of black snakes appeared in front of them. The mountain seemed to be the nest of the black snakes. There were black snakes everywhere. Fortunately, Little White was here. Otherwise, if Luli were to rush in alone, he would be in for a tough fight. He might even be poisoned to death. About 2 or 3 miles later, they had encountered more than thousands of poisonous snakes. Luli didn't dare to go further. What if there was a snake king in the depths of the mountain that Whitey couldn't suppress? After wandering around, Luli found several caves, but they were all filled with poisonous snakes and had a pungent, fishy smell. Luli had no choice but to dig a small cave with his Heaven Kylan sword and let Little White control a group of black snakes to guard within a radius of more than 1,000 feet. After making sure that it was safe, he wrapped himself in a blanket and slept soundly. After a long time, Luli was woken up by some noises. He could vaguely hear warriors shouting. His eyes quickly regained their sobriety and listened carefully for a while. He guessed that the pursuers had caught up and were most likely fighting with the snakes. Good timing. A glint of coldness rose in Lu Li's eyes. He had no thought of running away. Instead, he was filled with killing intent. There were thousands of poisonous snakes nearby, and Little White could control them all. Luli was not afraid, even if there were warriors of the Spirit Sea realm among the 11. Little White, my enemies have caught up. Help me control the poisonous snakes to attack them. Luli said to the sleepy Little White. Little White finally woke up. Seeing Lu Li's serious expression, Little White nodded. Luli put his mind at ease. He put away his things and sneaked towards the battlefield. It was already the eve of dawn, the darkest time of the day. It was pitch black everywhere, so dark that it could make one's heart palpitate. Luli released his Xian energy and let Little White control the black snakes to follow him with the help of the dim light. Luli circled around nearby. Little White had controlled hundreds of poisonous snakes to follow him. Let's go. Luli's confidence was boosted with hundreds of poisonous snakes. He quietly moved closer to the battlefield. He was only a couple of miles into the mountains. In the time it took for 2 incense sticks to burn, he had arrived at the periphery of the mountains. He saw a group of people fighting with the black poisonous snakes in the distance. Bang, bang, bang. The Xian artifacts in the hands of those people were glistening. They were waving their swords and sabers. Many snakes jumped up from the wild and attacked those people. Moo! Luli moved closer slowly. After another mile and a half, he hid in a call and observed. With the light reflected by the Xian energy, Luli finally saw clearly who it was. Dihua. Luli's eyes were burning with anger. He never expected that Dihua was among the people chasing after him. When enemies met, their eyes would burn with rage, not to mention that Dihua was here to hunt him down. 11 people, all warriors at the later stage or the peak of the Xianwu realm. They're all from the Zhao family. Good, very good. Luli was relieved, but he didn't act rashly. He observed carefully to make sure that there were no powerful warriors lurking around. He shouted to Little White in a low voice, "Let the snakes surround them. Surround them several times. Nobody can escape." Little White's eyes glinted with ferocity. It screamed with excitement. The poisonous snakes immediately swarmed past Lu Li and Little White like two huge arrowheads. Moo! Luli didn't even look at the battlefield. He sneaked all the way with Little White and gathered all the poisonous snakes nearby. Little White was asked to control the poisonous snakes to swarm towards the battlefield and surround Dihua and the others in 3 circles. Luli was still worried, so he took a detour to the foot of the mountain. If Dihua and the others managed to break out of the encirclement, he would do it himself. Dihua once brought Ditian with him to rape Lu Ling. He even caused her to break her leg. She had to stay in the mountains for many days by herself and finally crawled back with a broken leg. Last time, Dihua escaped to the tribe. This time, Dihua came to hunt them down in person. How could Luli let Dihua escape? If he didn't kill Dihua now, when would he? Luli asked Little White to control nearly 1,000 poisonous snakes to besiege Dihua. He was determined to win this time. Damn, how come there are so many black scorch snakes? What about Dihua? Should we retreat first? Or else we will all die here. Yes, we must break out of the encirclement. Otherwise, we will all be bitten to death by the poisonous snakes. The warriors of the Zhao family were in a panic. They had been entangled by the beasts in the forest for a long time. They only came here by following Lu Li's footprints at dusk. They didn't have a place to spend the night. Dihua was afraid that Lu Li would run away during the night, so he instigated a group of warriors to hunt him down. However, he didn't expect that there would be so many poisonous snakes in the mountains. Black scorch snakes were Xian beasts of the first rank. Their combat abilities were not strong, but their venom was like fire. Once they were hit by the venom, they would feel as if they were being burned by fire. A large piece of skin would be corroded. That was why they were named black scorch snakes. The warriors were all wearing the cyan armor of the Zhao family. As long as they were careful, they could be hit by the venom. They all had Xian artifacts and could easily kill the black scorch snakes. The problem was that there were more and more black scorch snakes. They had been running around for a day and a night. They were exhausted both physically and mentally. If they were not careful, they could die here. Retreat. 2 of the 11 warriors were injured. Dihua didn't dare to continue. He had to lead a group of warriors to retreat and break out of the encirclement. It was not easy to break out of the encirclement. The black scorch snakes were surrounding them in 3 layers. It was extremely difficult for them to break out. Fortunately, they were not too far into the mountains. If nothing went wrong, they could break out of the encirclement in an hour at most. Needless to say, Dihua and the warriors of the Zhao family were quite capable. The 8 of them formed a circle, each attacking in one direction. In the middle, Dihua and 2 other warriors were in charge of support. Even though it was difficult to break out of the encirclement, the black scorch snakes could not get close to them, let alone hurt or kill them. This won't do. Luli hid under a boulder and saw Dihua and the others slowly making their way to the foot of the mountain. He knew that the black scorch snakes alone would not be able to stop them. He had to do it himself. Kill. Chapter 50. The death-seeking crossbow was made by Lu Ling according to the ancient books. Its shooting range was not very long. It could do the most damage within a range of 6 feet. The furthest range was only 7 or 8 feet. Luli had to move forward quietly. He asked Little White to control the black scorch snakes to make way for him. He bent his body and approached quietly like a beast. He hid in a ravine and looked at Di Hua and the others who were breaking out of the encirclement and getting closer to him. 20 feet, 10 feet, 7 feet. Swish, with a slight sound, a black crossbow arrow was shot out. Since the black scorch snakes around were bouncing and attacking, and Di Hua and the others were waving their weapons, the sound of the arrow was almost inaudible. The night was as dark as ink. A warrior of the Zhao family facing Lu Li didn't even notice a black crossbow arrow coming at him. Only when the arrow was about 3 feet away from him did he realize it. He hurriedly waved his weapon to block it. Unfortunately, he was still 1 step too late. The arrow pierced into his neck. There was poison of the Inyang grass on the arrow, which was highly toxic. The warrior of the Zhao family covered his neck with 1 hand and fell to the ground before he could even scream. Brother 8, what happened to you? The death of the warrior of the Zhao family shocked everyone. The formation was disrupted. A young warrior hugged the body on the ground and shouted, not caring about the black scorch snakes around him. Swish, swish, the black scorch snakes didn't care about the swarming warriors. Several black scorch snakes approached and spat out black venom. 3 warriors of the Zhao family cried out in pain. One of them was hit in the face. His face felt like it was on fire. He kept rolling on the ground in pain. The formation was completely messed up. It was messed up by their own people. There were black scorch snakes in all directions. Once the formation was messed up, the consequences could be imagined. Don't mess up, Dihua shouted. He waved his long sword and moved quickly, killing the black scorch snakes one by one. The others calmed down and started to attack the black scorch snakes with all their might. They all knew very well that if they continued to mess up, all of them would die here. Swish, another sonic boom rang out as another crossbow bolt pierced through the neck of another martial artist. The sound of someone crashing to the ground startled everyone awake. It was too late for the man to cover his neck. Dihua glanced over and saw the black arrow on his neck. Dihua's eyes flickered and he shouted, "Someone is sneaking up on us. It is Lu Li. This is Lu Ling's arrow." Dihan had died because of this crossbow arrow. Dihua had a deep impression of the black crossbow arrow. As he waved his long sword to kill the black scorch snakes, he looked around and shouted, "Lu Li, if you're a man, then come out and fight me. What's the point of sneaking up on me? Lu Li, get out here. Lu Li, don't you want to avenge your sister? Come out and fight me." Dihua kept yelling, but Lu Li paid no attention to him. Lu Li put the last bolt on the crossbow and glanced around to find another target. Lu Ling once told him not to rely on brute force in a fight and to use his brain. Clearly, Dihua was trying to goad him out so that he could surround and kill him. How could Lu Li fall for it? Of the 11 warriors, 2 were killed. 1 was sprayed on his face and lost his ability to fight. The other 2 were shot in their thighs and arms. Their abilities were reduced as well. Therefore, there were still 6 warriors who could still fight. Of course, the 6 of them had been on the road for a day and a night. They were exhausted, so their abilities must be reduced. Lu Li dared not to take any risks. He would not make a move rashly, not to mention his life or death. If he died, Lu Ling would not live alone. He was like a poisonous snake lurking in the ravine, quietly waiting for a chance. Dihua shouted for a while. Seeing that Lu Li did not come out, he became more and more anxious. He looked at the man rolling on the ground and the 2 warriors of the Zhao family who were struggling to fight. He knew very well that if they continued to drag on, all of them would be killed by Lu Li. He could not figure out why the black scorch snakes did not attack Lu Li, but he had no time to think about it. He thought of something and said, "Break out of the encirclement. If we don't break out now, we will all die. Take brother 3 song and retreat." One of them quickly helped the warrior whose face was sprayed by the venom to stand up. Under the protection of Di Hua and the others, they managed to break out of the encirclement. Swish, Luli shot out the last arrow, and it hit the warrior of the Zhao family, who was helping Brother Three Song. That warrior was also killed in one hit and fell to the ground. Brother Three Song was trying to bear the pain. Naturally, he fell to the ground as well. The two warriors behind him were knocked back for a few steps. Hiss, hiss, the formation was disrupted again. Poisonous snakes swarmed over from all sides. In the chaos, two more warriors were sprayed by the venom of the black scorch snakes. They let out heart-wrenching screams. This time, Dihua saw where the arrow came from. He didn't care about the warriors of the Zhao family anymore. He pointed to the front in rage and said, "Luli is over there. Come with me and kill this bastard." The two warriors of the Zhao family were filled with murderous intent after they heard this. They carried their swords and followed Dihua, not caring about the lives of the people behind them. At this moment, there was only one thought in their minds, which was to cut Lu Li into pieces. Good timing. Lu Li sneered to himself. He put down the bundle on his back and rushed out from the valley with the Heaven Kylan sword in his hand. The long sword cut through the air and cut towards the face of Dihua, who was at the front. Lu Li coldly shouted, "Dihua, there's a way out for you. Instead of going to heaven, you break into hell. Die." Hiss, hiss. Of course, Lu Li used his full strength in this furious move. His Xian energy glowed and his Qi and energy surged. His physical strength was more than 13,000 pounds. When he used his Xian energy, it could reach more than 37,000 to 38,000 pounds. How ear-piercing was the sound created by such a huge force. Dihua's eardrums were hurting. He was terrified. He saw a huge black saber coming at him. He could guess the strength of this move without needing to block. Maybe it was because of Lu Li's bravery in the battle at the tribe. Dihua felt some fear out of instinct. Without thinking, he dodged to the side, not daring to fight against Lu Li head-on. There was a warrior of the Zhao family behind Dihua. Since Dihua dodged, the Heaven Kylan sword naturally cut towards him. He did not know how powerful Lu Li was, so he raised his long sword to block. He was even ready to cut open Lu Li's chest and stomach. His idea was too naive. He only felt a huge force coming at him, and his long sword was smashed away. The Heaven Kylan sword went straight ahead and cut his body into two halves. Even the Xian artifact armor he was wearing was cut open. There was another warrior of the Zhao family behind Dihua. He was dumbfounded. Was Lu Li a warrior of the Xianwu realm or the Spirit Sea realm? How could he cut a man into pieces with just one move? The warrior was dumbfounded, but Lu Li was not. He swung his long saber as fast as lightning and swept towards that warrior's neck in a beautiful arc. That warrior finally came to his senses. He blocked with his long sword out of instinct. Needless to say, the long sword was smashed away. The next moment, his head flew up and blood gushed out. How? Dihua stared at Lu Li, who was as ferocious as the god of slaughter. Was this still the good-for-nothing that was bullied by Di, Hu, and the others back in the tribe? Killing a warrior at the peak of the Xianwu realm was as easy as chopping cabbages. Also, there was clearly Xian energy glowing on Lu Li. Dihua, holding the Heaven Kylan sword that was dripping with blood, Lu Li turned around and looked at Dihua. A smile appeared on the corner of Lu Li's mouth, but it made Dihua feel that Lu Li was more horrifying than a demon. Lu Li said with a cold smile, "How was the feng shui of this place? Are you satisfied with it as your burial place?" Chapter 51. Since he was born, Dihua was the pride of the tribe. He enjoyed all the glory and splendor. He was treated like a lord by many people in the tribe. He enjoyed this kind of life very much. He came to the Zhao family to become stronger so that he could have a higher status and enjoy more glory and splendor. Therefore, he was afraid of death. He could not bear to part with the superior life, the beauties in the Wuling County, and the bright future. When Lu Li was about to kill him in the Dilong tribe, he ran away. At this moment, he was scared out of his wits. Lu Li could kill warriors at the peak of the Xianwu realm as if they were cabbages. Even though Dihua was a bit stronger than the other two, he still felt that he was no match for Lu Li. Therefore, he was stunned for a second. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was to run. He wanted to run as far as he could to his father. He did not want to die. Dihua shouted, "All of you, surround and kill Lu Li." Just like in the tribe, Dihua turned around and ran after he shouted. However, this time, Lu Li would not be fooled. Also, Dihua forgot one thing. It was not a flat land ahead of him. There were many poisonous snakes. It just so happened that those poisonous snakes had received Little White's order and would not attack Lu Li. Lu Li did not have to look back to know that there was still some distance between him and the people behind him. He carried his Heaven Kylan sword and rushed towards Dihua in strides. The few remaining warriors of the Zhao family in the distance were furious when they saw Dihua running away by himself. If it were not for the fact that Dihua forced himself to go up the mountain, how could so many of them die? On top of that, Lu Li's bravery made them want to retreat. They left Dihua alone and helped him to break through the encirclement on the left. Swish, swish, in front of Dihua, poisonous snakes swarmed towards him. Dihua was furious, but there was nothing he could do except to kill them with his long sword. Lu Li rushed towards him. He swung his Heaven Kylan sword in a semicircle and cut at Dihua's back. Hearing the sound of wind, Dihua rolled on the ground and dodged Lu Li's attack. His long sword flashed and cut two poisonous snakes in half. He turned around and looked at Lu Li, clenched his teeth, and said, "Lu Li, I have wronged you and your sister. You also killed Di Tian and the others. My father is now the external clan patriarch of the Zhao family and is highly valued by the family patriarch. Killing me will do you no good. If you let me go, how about we put an end to this?" What responded to Dihua was a huge broken sword with a whistling sound. Lu Li didn't want to waste any more words with Dihua. His eyes were as determined as steel. He would not stop until he killed Dihua. Clang, clang, Dihua could only clench his teeth and retaliate. His long sword slid, and the heavenly Kylan blade created sparks. Lu Li used the Xian skill, Water Cloud Sword, passed down to him by Di Ba. Even though it had the word sword in its name, it was still quite powerful when used with a sword. The sword moves were endless like waves. Lu Li was forced to step back. What a pity! The venomous snakes in the vicinity kept attacking him. Dihua only attacked for 7 or 8 times before he had no choice but to withdraw his sword and fend off the venomous snakes that were shooting at him. Lu Li saw his chance. He held a saber with both hands and hacked at Dihua for 4 or 5 times. Clang, 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 Dihua was prepared for this. He held his sword tightly and managed to block Lu Li's attack. His hands were numb, and the blood in his chest was churning. His ears were ringing, and he was seeing stars. Chi, 2 venomous snakes sprang up and spat out venom. One of them hit the back of Dihua's neck, and the other hit the left side of his head. The venom of the black scorched snake was highly corrosive. Dihua instantly felt as if the back of his neck and the left side of his head were on fire. He reached out his hands and scratched off several pieces of skin. He cried out in pain. "Swish, taking advantage of your weakness," Lu Li thought to himself. A glint of coldness flashed in his eyes. His long saber glowed, and he hacked at Dihua's head. Lu Li exerted all his strength in this move, trying to kill Dihua with one move. "No!" Dihua shouted in terror. He actually stopped fighting back. Instead, he knelt down and shouted, "Lu Li, I am wrong. Don't kill me, don't." Lu Li's sword momentum paused for a moment. Then the long saber continued to cut down. Dihua's head was split open like a watermelon. His body was almost split into 2 halves. He could not be more dead. If it were before, Lu Li might have stopped just now. During the battle in the tribe, Lu Ling's words of warning were still echoing in his ears. Lu Li grew up with Lu Ling and was deeply influenced by her. After several battles, he had become cold-blooded and merciless. There was only one thought in his mind when facing his enemies, and that was to kill without mercy. Looking at Dihua's body for a moment, Lu Li calmed himself down. He looked into the distance, and his eyes became cold again. Carrying his Heaven Kylan sword, he ran away madly. Those men did not go far. Apart from 2, All of them were wounded. 2 of them were seriously injured. They would not be able to walk without someone's help. In the direction they were running towards, there were countless black scorched snakes. The result was self-evident. Even though Luli did not know Xian's skill, his strength was comparable to that of a warrior of the Spirit Sea realm. Little White had been following him, so the poisonous snakes would not attack him. On the other hand, the enemies had to worry about the poisonous snakes' attacks and had to protect their companions. The gap between their fighting capacities was too wide. In just the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the few that ran away had all turned into cold corpses. The only one left had one leg cut off. Luli was decisive in his killing and showed no mercy. Of course, he left one alive to interrogate the enemy. He asked Little White to control the poisonous snakes to move away. Stepping on the warrior of the Zhao family with a broken leg, Luli said in a cold voice, "How many people are after me? Where is Zhao Rue?" This time, Zhao Rue did not show up. Luli was worried. That man's leg was broken. He was trembling because of the pain. A glint of hatred appeared in his eyes. He clenched his teeth and said, "Kill me if you want. If I tell you, all my family members will die. If you are a man, then give me a quick death." It seemed that this man's family members were all in the Wuling County. He was afraid that the Zhao family would seek revenge, so he kept his mouth shut. Luli thought about it and said in a cold voice, "If I don't tell you, nobody will know that you told me. How can the Zhao family make trouble for your family? And if you don't tell me, I will kill your entire family when I get back to the county. I am a man of my word." That man spat out some blood. His eyes flickered and he said helplessly, "Young Master Ray and Uncle Scar went to the frigid cloud mountain to stop you. There are 4 or 5 of them. Young Master Rue and Uncle Scar are both at the initial stage of the Spirit Sea realm. I have told you. Give me a quick death." Swish! Luli swung his Heaven Kylan sword and gave the man a quick death. Luli frowned and his mind was weighed down. He had guessed right. There were 2 warriors of the Spirit Sea realm here, and they were waiting for him at the foot of the frigid cloud mountain. Maybe they would mobilize the warriors of the Zhao family in the frigid cloud mountain. If Luli still wanted to go to the Redstone Mountain, he would be in grave danger. Squeak, squeak, Little White ran over happily. It grabbed a handful of Xian artifact and started to chew on it. It finished the Xian artifact in no time. Don't chew on this. These are all Xian artifacts. They are valuable. Luli felt his heart ache. The Xian artifacts these people carried were above the 3rd rank of the human grade. They could be worth a lot of golden leaves. Luli collected all the Xian artifacts and searched around in the corpses. He got some golden leaves and 2 secret books. Then he carefully collected all the crossbow bolts. It was not easy to make these bolts, and there was too little poison. Luling only made 4. She used 1 to kill Dihan at the Dilong tribe. Now there were only 3 left. Naturally, Luli wanted to get them all back. Dawn was breaking in the east. The sky was getting brighter. Luli glanced at the 2 secret books in the glow. He lost interest when he found they were only Xian skills of low levels. He threw them into his bag and left them there. Luli tied the Xian artifacts with the bag and shouted to Little White, "Get some poisonous snakes here. Eat all the corpses. Don't leave any traces." Little White screamed. Countless poisonous snakes swarmed over and started to eat the corpses. Soon, all the corpses turned into white bones. The armors were all in tatters. At first, many armors were intact. However, those were the armors of the Zhao family, so Luli would not wear them. What should I do? Luli left the battlefield and went back to the wild. He sat on a rock, drinking water and eating dried meat. He was deep in thought with the map given by the Hall of Missions in his hand. If he took a detour back, it should be safe. However, he would not be able to complete the task this time. 100 contribution points would be deducted, and Little White would have no food. If he went to the frigid cloud mountain, it would be extremely dangerous. He might die in the mountain. Let's go. Finally, Luli looked at Little White and ran towards the north with his teeth clenched. This little beast was amazing. It could control Xian beasts of the 1st rank now. Once it grew up, its valiance would be beyond Li's imagination. Chapter 52. The frigid cloud mountain was the south gate of the ice abyss. To go to the ice abyss, one had to cross the frigid cloud mountain unless they took the ancient chariot or the iron-armored ships. It was because there were swamps on both sides of the frigid cloud mountain. Poisonous insects were lurking in the swamps, and the miasma was dense. Even warriors of the Soul Pond realm dared not to go in recklessly. If Lu Li, at his realm, went in, he would definitely die. Therefore, Lu Li had no choice but to run towards the frigid cloud mountain. It was safe on the way. He only ran into some lone Shin beasts of low ranks, which Lu Li took care of easily. After running for more than half a day, Lu Li finally arrived at the frigid cloud mountain in the afternoon. He didn't dare to approach it, so he found a cave and rested for 2 hours. It wasn't until dusk that he sneaked toward the frigid cloud mountain. He sneaked into a forest and continued to approach the foot of the frigid cloud mountain. After running for a few miles, he climbed up a huge tree and used the dark red leaves as a cover to look at the frigid cloud mountain. Someone's here. The frigid cloud mountain was very steep. There was only one path leading to the mountain. At the entrance of the path, Lu Li saw some black dots. There was even a tent next to them. Damn it! Lu Li quietly climbed down and cursed himself. It was obvious that Zhao Rui was waiting for him at the intersection. If Lu Li wanted to go up, he would have to fight with them, unless he didn't want to go up anymore. In Zhao Rui's mind, Lu Li was no match for Di Hua and the others on his own, so Lu Li could only flee towards the north. Even if he was not killed by Di Hua and the others, they could easily kill him if he arrived here. Therefore, he had even set up his tent. It was obvious that he did not take this matter to heart. Lu Li climbed down from the tree and began to ponder as he chewed on his food. The path up the frigid cloud mountain was too steep. Other than this mountain path, the only other way was to climb up the steep walls on both sides. Climbing was not a problem, but Zhao Rui and Uncle Scar were both at the Spirit Sea realm. Once there was any movement, they would be noticed. If he was discovered while climbing the cliff, the consequences would be unimaginable. Using the bloodline divine skill, Lu Li was tempted, but he immediately rejected the idea. Even if he used his bloodline skill, he was not sure that he could kill a Spirit Sea realm warrior. His bloodline skill could only last for the time it took for half an incense stick to burn. After that, he would be too weak to open his eyes. By then, he would be dead for sure. Time passed by slowly, and the sky was getting dark. It was even more difficult to climb the cliff after dark. If one was not careful, he might fall down the cliff. Sha sha sha. Right at that moment, there came a faint sound from the distance. Lu Li was alarmed and looked to the northwest. After a while, his eyes lit up. Giant ants crawled out of a hole in the west. These ants were completely golden, and each of them was as big as a fist. There were even golden fangs at the corners of their mouths that reflected a cold light. Golden ants. This was a very common type of mystical beast in the mountains. It was also a level 1 mystical beast with strong defense and could move like the wind. Moreover, it would appear in groups, numbering in the hundreds or thousands. An idea came to Lu Li's mind. He approached the golden ant and called Little White out. Those golden ants were madly rushing towards Lu Li. But as soon as Little White's chi and energy leaked out, they all crouched down in fear, not daring to move. Ants of gold keep coming out of the hole, but they're all suppressed by Little White. More and more ants of gold come out. When it gets dark, there are more than 1,000 ants of gold. All right, Little White, control them to charge towards that mountain path and attack all the humans they encounter. Lu Li ordered Little White. Little White made some strange sounds. Groups of golden ants rushed towards the frigid cloud mountain like a magnificent army. Looking from afar, it was a magnificent scene of golden ants. Lu Li did not take action right away. He climbed up a big tree and observed. The golden ants were fast. They rushed out of the woods towards the mountain path. In the time it took for 2 incense sticks to burn, they had reached the mountain path and were rushing towards several people in the distance. Young Master Rui, there are Shin beasts. Uncle Scar, there are so many golden ants. Lu Li vaguely heard some people calling young Master Rui and Uncle Scar. His eyes turned cold. It was indeed Zhao Rui and his men that were trying to stop him. The battle broke out over there. There were 2 warriors at the Spirit Sea realm. The thousands of golden ants were not enough. It was only a matter of time before they were killed. Go, Luli took the chance and ran towards the left. With the golden ants distracting Zhao Rui and his men, he should have enough time to climb up from the cliff on the side. Luli sneaked all the way and took a detour for more than 3 miles. Then he quietly turned back towards the frigid cloud mountain. He found a cliff that was relatively easy to climb. He took a few deep breaths and started to climb up like an ape. The cliff here was at least several thousand feet high. It was dark outside, so Luli dared not to climb too fast or make too much noise. Zhao Rui and his men were only more than half a mile away from here. It would be easy to alarm them. Once he was discovered, one of them could go to the top of the cliff and attack from 2 sides. Fortunately, the golden ants were attacking people. Nobody paid attention to this side. The strange sounds of the golden ants and the angry roars of the warriors were rising and falling. Even if there was some noise here, they wouldn't be able to hear it. Luli didn't use his Xian energy. With his physical strength, he could even climb tens of thousands of feet, let alone thousands of feet. He looked around, looking for a foothold. Every now and then, he would jump onto the protruding boulders and climb up quickly like an agile ape. 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet. Luli was breathing heavily on a boulder. He looked up and saw that he was less than 1,000 feet away. The fight over there was not over yet. Luli was a bit relieved. As long as he could climb up to the top of the frigid cloud mountain, it would be almost impossible to find him due to the complicated terrain. Luli looked over quietly. He could vaguely see the Xian energy glaring and the golden ants surging and roaring. Luli took a few breaths and started climbing again. He found a good path. If everything went well, he could easily climb up the cliff in the time it took for 2 incense sticks to burn. Chirp, chirp, it just so happened that after the time it took for 1 incense stick to burn, when he was only several hundred feet away from the top of the cliff, a cyan eagle flew towards him from the distance. It dived towards Luli as if it wanted to eat him as its dinner. Luli cursed to himself. He was holding onto the boulder with both hands. How could he have the chance to use his saber? He was several thousand feet away from the ground. He dared not to let Little White out. What if it accidentally fell to its death? Hurry, hurry, hurry. He had to make up his mind and climb with all his might. He tried to get to the top of the cliff before the cyan eagle got close. He tried his best and climbed as fast as he could. Unexpectedly, something unexpected happened again. Boom! A protruding boulder suddenly loosened. Luli almost fell down. At the critical moment, he grabbed onto a pine tree next to him with his other hand. However, the boulder rolled all the way down, making a loud noise. What is that sound? There is someone over there. A roar came out, followed by a deep male voice. It seems to be Luli. Go after him. Don't worry about the golden ants. Damn it! Luli cursed. The cyan eagle had arrived. Luli flipped to the side and stood on a boulder. He took out the Heaven Kylan sword from his back and hacked at the beak of the cyan eagle. Chirp! The cyan eagle let out a sad cry. Its huge body was smashed away by Luli. Blood stained the sky. Luli made sure that the threat of the cyan eagle was over. He dared not to stay any longer. He climbed up as fast as he could. So unlucky. Chapter 53. It was getting darker. Luli was running for his life in the mountains. His eyesight was getting worse and worse, and it was getting harder for him to run. He fell into ravines several times. However, it was difficult for him to run, and so was Zhao Rui and the others. He was by himself, but there were 6 or 7 of them, which was to his advantage. Zhao Rui, who was chasing after Luli, noticed the problem. The mountain roads were hard to walk. He had lived like a prince, so he was injured by thorns and thorns in many places. He even fell down several times, with bruises all over his face. Zhao Rui thought about it and said, Uncle Scar, we cannot catch up with him like this. How about you go after him by yourself and kill the bastard when he gets away? Uncle Scar raised his eyebrows and shook his head. No, My mission is to protect young master. I cannot leave him for even a moment. This is the frigid cloud mountain. What if there is a powerful Xian beast? Zhao Rui said carelessly. It is because this is the frigid cloud mountain that there will be no danger. How many lines of defense have the powerful warriors of the families formed? That bastard is not far away. You can kill him soon if you run at full speed. We will wait here for you. We will not run away. Uncle Scar was still hesitant. He didn't care if he could kill Lu Li or not. What he cared about was Zhao Rui's safety. Zhao Rui became anxious. He said with a serious expression, "The young masters of the families know that I am here to kill Lu Li. If Lu Li manages to get away and get back to the county, where can I put my face? It will also affect the dignity of the Zhao family. Uncle Scar, please." Okay. Uncle Scar sighed helplessly. He told Zhao Rui and the others to stay here and not to go anywhere. Then he used his Xian energy and ran forward as fast as he could. Even though Uncle Scar and Zhao Rui were both at the initial stage of the Spirit Sea realm, there was a huge gap in their combat abilities. Uncle Scar ran wildly in the mountains by himself, jumping and running like a giant ape. He never lost his footing and fell into ravines. He was running in the direction Lu Li escaped to. He could easily find Lu Li's tracks along the way. His speed was twice as fast as Lu Li's. In the time it took for just 3 incense sticks to burn, he could faintly hear Lu Li running in front of him. "Bastard, where are you going?" he shouted and sped up again. Lu Li seemed to have heard the roar of thunder. His expression changed. Only warriors of the Spirit Sea realm could catch up so fast. Spirit Sea realm. A Xian martial artist had to open 12 meridians in order to condense the Spirit Sea. Out of the millions of Xian martial artists, less than 1,000 people could successfully condense the Spirit Sea. One could imagine how difficult it was to condense the Spirit Sea. Once the condensation was successful, the martial artist's strength would multiply because the deity's sea was very magical and could store a large amount of Xian energy. The Xian energy that Lu Li cultivated could only be stored in his energy channels. How much Xian energy could be stored in his energy channels? Furthermore, the profound energy in the meridians could easily dissipate into the flesh and bones. The divine sea was different. With the deity's sea, a martial artist could store 10 times or even 100 or 1,000 times more profound energy. More importantly, profound strength would be tempered in the divine sense sea, become more condensed. Its power would increase by several folds. In the northern desert, there was a saying that the realm could crush the enemy. A warrior of a higher realm could easily crush hundreds of warriors of a lower realm. If there were no unforeseen circumstances, it would be impossible for someone to challenge someone of a higher cultivation level. Lu Li had divine energy. He was no weaker than a warrior at the initial stage of the Spirit Sea realm. He might even be stronger. The thing was, a fight was not only about strength, but also about speed, reflexes, Xian skills, fighting experience, and many other factors. Lu Li's heart sank at this moment. Hearing the whistling sound behind him and sensing the powerful qi and energy from Uncle Scar, Lu Li was overwhelmed with despair. I cannot give up. Even if I know I will die, I cannot give up so easily. If I die, my sister will not live alone. At this moment of life and death, Lu Li thought of Lu Ling. To his surprise, he gradually calmed down. He thought quickly, trying to find a way to defeat the enemy. There were no Xian beasts nearby, so Little White could not be of use. Nobody was found either. Reinforcements could not be counted on. Lu Li thought about it and realized that he could only rely on himself. Fight! Lu Li made up his mind and stopped running after some thoughts. He put the bag aside, held the death-seeking crossbow in one hand and the Heaven Kylan sword in the other. He took a deep breath and waited for the enemy to come closer. Since he could not run away, he might as well fight with his life. He might have a chance of survival. Squeak, squeak, Little White actually poked its head out of the bag. Lu Li looked at it and said seriously, "Little White, I am about to fight a powerful enemy. If I die in the fight, run away immediately. If there is a next life, I will help you find the best food in the world. Squeak, squeak, Little White showed a trace of anxiety in its eyes. A man was running towards Lu Li from the distance. Lu Li paid no more attention to Little White. He held his sword and jumped onto a boulder, waiting quietly. Swish! Uncle Scar was standing 30 feet in front of Lu Li. He glanced around coldly. After making sure there was no ambush, he sneered. The scar on his face kept twisting, making him look very ferocious. He said in a deep voice, "Why don't you run away? Punk, I thought you were good at running away." Lu Li's mind was at peace. Maybe he knew he was going to die, so he decided to risk everything. He coldly said, "You are at the Spirit Sea realm, and I am at the Xianwu realm. You are more than 10 years older than me. How can I run away? Are all the people of the Zhao family as shameless as you? Why can't you let Zhao Rui fight me in person?" Lu Ling had warned Lu Li to use his brain and not rely solely on brute force. Therefore, Lu Li wanted to try goading him. He used to use this trick when he was fighting with beasts. Once the beasts were completely enraged, he could find their flaws and kill them. However, his trick was clearly a bit immature. The corner of Uncle Scar's mouth twitched, but he was not moved. Instead, he mocked, "Punk, I joined the Zhao family when I was 13. I have been making a living on the edge of a knife for more than 20 years. Don't use these little tricks of yours. Do you want to go with me to see young Master Rui, or do I have to carry your dead body back?" "Go with you?" Lu Li frowned. There was a glimmer of hope in his eyes. He said, "If I go with you to see young Master Rui, can I live?" "I don't know," Uncle Scar said with a straight face. "But if you don't go with me, you will die now. It's your choice." Lu Li thought about it for a while, made up his mind, and asked again, "I'm only a guest warrior of the Lu family. If I quit the Lu family and join the Zhao family, will you kill me?" "I don't know." The answer to Lu Li was still 3 cold words. Uncle Scar paused for a bit and added, "Whether you live or die will depend on young Master Rui's mood." Lu Li fell into silence again. When Uncle Scar lost his patience, Lu Li made up his mind. He nodded and said, "Okay, I will go with you to see young Master Rui. You are at the Spirit Sea realm. If I fight with you, I will die for sure." Lu Li jumped off the boulder, picked up the bundle, and put the Heaven Kylan sword into the belt on his back. He walked towards Uncle Scar dejectedly and helplessly. "You know what's good for you." Uncle Scar sneered. He looked at Lu Li sarcastically and said, "You want to win against me? I can kill you with a single move. You walk in front of me and don't make any strange moves. Otherwise, don't blame me for being cruel." "Is that so?" Right at that moment, Lu Li raised his head and threw the bundle at Uncle Scar. The death-seeking crossbow, hidden in his sleeve, shot out. At the same time, he pulled out the Heaven Kylan sword backhandedly with his other hand. He mobilized his Xian energy and hacked at Uncle Scar with all his strength. From the beginning to the end, Lu Li never thought about surrendering. Diba was a patriarch of the Zhao family, and he killed more than a dozen warriors of the Zhao family. How could the Zhao family tolerate him? Chapter 54. Lu Li was only 5 feet away from Uncle Scar. At first, he threw out the bag and then shot the arrow. If Uncle Scar was shot by accident, then everything would be perfect. However, Lu Li had underestimated the reaction speed of a warrior of the Spirit Sea realm. Uncle Scar reacted as soon as Lu Li moved. Especially when Lu Li shot the arrow, Uncle Scar felt something was wrong. He dodged to the left at once. Both the bag and the arrow missed their target. Lu Li's Heaven Kylan sword was supposed to be vertical, but he had no choice but to change the direction and sweep it horizontally. Clank, clank, Uncle Scar unsheathed his long sword and swept it horizontally as well. However, the angle of his sweep was quite good. He hit the broken part of Lu Li's Heaven Kylan sword. A muffled sound came out and sparks flew. Lu Li felt a huge force coming towards him. His right hand became numb, and his chi and blood tumbled in his chest. He was forced to step back. "Punk, you are courting your own death." Uncle Scar was enraged. He dashed towards Lu Li like a huge beast. His long sword generated so many sword shadows that Luli couldn't even see them clearly. All he could see were the stars enveloping him. Nobody could tell which ones were real swords. Luli felt there was no way to escape to the left, the right, and the front. Luli had to keep retreating. But how could he be faster than Uncle Scar? Seeing that he was about to be stabbed, Luli made up his mind. He held the Heaven Kylan sword in both of his hands and swung it at Uncle Scar's head with great force, regardless of Uncle Scar's sword. A life for a life. Luli adopted the most brutal method. His sword was fast, and the distance between them was so close. Even if Uncle Scar could stab him to death, Luli was confident that he could hit Uncle Scar and at least injure him badly. He was overthinking warriors of the Spirit Sea realm had a huge advantage over warriors of the Xianwu realm. What was more, Uncle Scar had been living on the edge of sword for more than 20 years. What had he not seen? Clank, clank, Uncle Scar waved his long sword and pulled on the Heaven Kylan sword. Sparks flew everywhere. He turned his body, and his long sword slid towards Lu Li's right hand. Clearly, his Xian artifact was of a high rank. It was at least of the 8th or 9th rank of the human grade, if not an Earth grade Xian artifact. Once Lu Li was cut by Uncle Scar, he would lose one hand. So good. Lu Li was secretly shocked. His speed and reaction were much slower than Uncle Scar's. At this rate, he would be easily killed by Uncle Scar. At this moment of life and death, Lu Li dared not to conserve his strength anymore. He shouted, "Burning blood." That's right. He used his bloodline divine skill. If he didn't use it now, he would never have the chance to use it again. Buzz! His back glowed faintly, and the silver dragon pattern lit up. All the muscles in his body swelled up, and a surge of power surged into his muscles. His eyes also turned silver, and he felt the blood in his body boiling. His body was filled with endless energy, and the aura on his body suddenly became abnormally violent and tyrannical. Uncle Scar was shocked. He could feel that Lu Li's chi and energy had become more horrifying. He felt that Lu Li's chi and energy were more powerful than his. In the old days, Lu Li was no different from an ant to him. Now, this ant had turned into a huge lion. How could he not be surprised? There were 3 ways for a warrior to enhance his fighting capacity in a short time. The first was to take some strange pellets, the second was to use some powerful secret skill, and the third was to release his bloodline divine skill. Lu Li clearly didn't take any pellets, and he couldn't have any powerful secret skill. Not even the Lu family could. The only explanation was that he had released his bloodline divine skill. Therefore, Uncle Scar looked at Lu Li's neck out of instinct. He was even more surprised because there was no bloodline mark on Lu Li's neck. Boy, Uncle Scar hesitated for a bit, but Lu Li didn't. He swung his long saber and knocked away Uncle Scar's sword. Then he swung his Heaven Kylan sword and hacked at Uncle Scar's neck for several times. Uncle Scar came to his senses. He put away all the doubts in his mind and focused on the fight. He lifted his long sword to block and was ready to retreat at the same time. However, something went wrong as soon as he blocked. Lu Li's bloodline divine skill was freaky. He had released it once before, and he clearly felt that his strength had increased by more than 3 times. What did 3 times mean? Lu Li's physical strength was now more than 13,000 pounds. 3 times would be more than 100,000 pounds. The strength of warriors at the peak of the Spirit Sea realm was only about 100,000 pounds. If Lu Li's previous move was like a strong man smashing at Uncle Scar with a wooden stick, then this one was like a dragon swinging its tail. Boom! Uncle Scar's long sword was knocked away. Lu Li took the chance and hacked at Uncle Scar's head with his saber, trying to cut his head into halves. Uncle Scar was indeed a warrior who had gone through hundreds of battles. At this critical moment of life and death, he managed to twist his body to the right and then rolled on the ground for several times, narrowly dodging Lu Li's fatal move. So fast. Lu Li once again exclaimed about the power of the Spirit Sea realm. He dared not to stop. He kicked on the ground and rushed forward like a huge beast. He swung his Heaven Kylan sword and hacked at Uncle Scar continuously. His bloodline divine skill could only last for the time it took for half an incense stick to burn. He must kill Uncle Scar in that time, or else he would be the one to die. How come this guy became so powerful all of a sudden? Uncle Scar was shocked. The hand that was holding the sword was still in pain from the impact. He could only roll on the ground in embarrassment under Lu Li's continuous attacks. Without his weapon, he could not use all his Shin skills. He could not fight against the Heaven Kylan sword with his fists, could he? Lu Li's speed was too fast. It was dark outside, so he could not see clearly. Uncle Scar's thigh was cut by Lu Li in a moment of carelessness. A piece of flesh was cut off, revealing his bones. Uncle Scar rolled on the ground in pain and dodged Lu Li's attack. When he got up, he did not hesitate anymore. He turned around and was ready to run away. This is bad. Lu Li was secretly worried. Even though his physical strength had been increased by 3 times, his speed was not. If Uncle Scar got away and Lu Li passed out due to his weakness, the consequences would be unimaginable. Squeak, squeak, right at that moment, a small beast crawled out from the trench in front of him on the left. Little White was in the backpack. It was precious when Lu Li threw it out. Little White was thrown out as well. Lu Li thought of Little White's horrifying speed. He stared at Uncle Scar's bleeding thigh and shouted in a deep voice, "Little White, go and bite his thigh." As long as Little White could buy some time, Lu Li could catch up with Uncle Scar and kill him. Little White heard Lu Li's order, and without any hesitation, it rushed towards Uncle Scar in a white blur. However, what happened next made Lu Li tremble violently. He stood still on the spot, and his eyes were filled with terror. Little White caught up with Uncle Scar easily in a white blur. Then it opened its mouth and started to bite Uncle Scar's thigh. In just a blink of an eye, the flesh on Uncle Scar's right leg was gone. Only the bones were left. Uncle Scar let out a heart-wrenching scream. He tried to grab Little White with one hand. However, Little White dodged and went to the other leg of Uncle Scar. In just a blink of an eye, that leg had turned into bones again. What? Lu Li was stunned. Such a powerful warrior of the Spirit Sea realm was badly injured by Little White in an instant. 2 legs turned into bones in just a blink of an eye. This was appalling. However, on second thought, Lu Li thought that Little White could even bite the Heaven Kylan sword. What else could it not bite off? It was not surprising that it could bite off Uncle Scar's legs. Swish! Lu Li soon came to his senses. He rushed over, jumped up high, and swung his Heaven Kylan sword. He cut off the head of Uncle Scar, who was seriously injured. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.